All right, what's going on? Welcome to the latest episode of the Fly Plus Football First and Goal podcast. Pardon me. I'm FPF Hall of Famer Ben Bakken.
And I'm Quasi Gordon Mall.
Gotta say, seven-time All Star. Come on now. We gotta give ourselves some props
eight
there.
eight time actually. I just
Eight to
got
oh
a
my. There you go. That's right. Hey, that's right. That's right. Congrats. All right.
got defensive player of the year. Well, for co-ed, but
No, no,
still
hey,
awesome.
hey, still counts. It still counts. Well, congrats on that, sir. Congrats on that.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
all the awards that are coming up right now. You can check on the FPF website if you haven't been notified individually yourself. Just check up on it, and you will then be notified. So, congrats everybody, Quasi included, as won an award for this past winter season. All right, so we have the divisional round. Some divisions we have the quarterfinals and others. Let's hop into 6B.
Yep.
So looking at it right here. So we had a couple games, obviously. So I think believe we talked about these last week, right? So we had like back on April 13th, 15th, and 16th. There was a bunch of games. Cougars
Yeah.
knocking off.
So the last podcast we did was on the 16th, so
Yeah,
we didn't get to see the results of the games, but we did talk about them. I think we did. Yeah, we did talk about them.
yeah. So okay, yeah. So FC Bing in the stables, right? And I score kept impact against the Spartans, so I can give a bit more in depth breakdown of that one. So okay, you want to hop into FC Bing and stables quickly, or
Yeah, sure. You kind of look you score kept it right, so I'll pull it up here, stat
what
wise.
I score kept the Spartans and impact, so I didn't do the FC Bing game
Oh,
again.
okay.
Yeah, because I was in the building that was going on, but I was scorekeeping another game at the same. I don't. It was basically two fields at Saint Laurent as always. I wasn't scorekeeping that one. I was scorekeeping another game during the FC Bing Stables contest.
Okay. Let's just let's look at SBFC Big and
Yeah,
Stables. Looking from the stats, it looked like both quarterbacks
crazy.
were just kind of running.
Yeah, crazy
Mark
first
on
half.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I was gonna say a crazy first half, right? The
Yeah,
half
exactly.
score was 30-24
Yeah, they
at the
scored,
half.
and then all of a sudden they died out with 6 and 10.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
seems like both quarterbacks were kind of running. Well, Mark on Sakal, 4 attempts for 74 yards,
oh
and
yeah,
then Charles Vlung, 1 attempt for 33 yards. So they
yep.
combined in 5 attempts for over 107. So
Hmm.
they're running a bit. I guess I'm kind of confused how he didn't score, but for Mark on today, but I guess maybe he got stopped in like the two or the three because to carry 4 times for 74 yards, you're basically averaging like 20 yards per carry.
I
Which
mean, it's possible. It's possible not to score. I mean, I'm looking right now at the play-by-play, right? So, for Senecal, well, his first pass actually was a 40-yard TD pass. But yeah, his runs here, like looking at it, got 40-yard, wow, 40-yard run. So that his opposition, David Mather, 40-yard TD run. So he had over 100 yards on the other side. So yeah, just looking at Senecal here. Yeah, so he's had a couple of long runs, but yeah, not able to break the plane, unfortunately for him. But I mean, his
yeah,
counterpart again, David Mather certainly did.
yeah, exactly. Because Dave Mather went 8 for 103 and two rushing TDs.
Yeah, yeah.
So no picks either, right? Both quarterbacks didn't throw any interceptions, so it's kind of also interesting. But it just seems like the Stables had more firepower in the first half, and they end up having a bit more in the second half. It's kind of weird to have 10 points in a half. It means they got a safety.
Yeah, it has to be a touchdown 2 point conversion into safety.
Yeah, exactly. It would have to be a safety. So I guess their defense also stepped up as well to kind of get them because a safety probably would have been a huge point in the game as well too, right? It's a stopping point. You get a safety, you get 2 points, and you get the ball back. So I mean that's a big a big defensive stop there.
Yeah, definitely a big point swing
But
as well, right? I mean,
okay, and then let's go to Impact and Spartans. What did you see about that game?
so that was like really a back and forth contest. I'm just looking to bring it up on my screen here. So, Impact, I believe that's the team you coach, right?
Yeah, I coached most of their players. Tackle.
Yeah. So they were down 16-12 at the half. So Julian Kosa, the quarterback for Impact, he made some big throws. He's able to keep a lot of plays alive with his legs. I mean, he only had one run for 2 yards, but he was able to scramble a lot and kind of create some things for his team. The other quarterback on the other side, so Jean Francois Laurence, he had a decent first half. He put together some nice numbers, able to drive down the field. I'm trying to find his top receiver. I want to say is it Devontae Johnson. I'm just trying to look again
Justin
here.
White.
Yeah, sorry, Justin White. Yeah, Justin White. So he was able to toss a couple of balls up to him, and Justin White was like one of those guys. He was just like he was a monster, honestly, in that game. 8 catches, 87 yards. He was mossing people. He was basically balls that were tossed up that he had no business catching. He was just leaping over people and coming down with it. He made a
Mm,
lot of plays for his team. It's one of those games where like he came out on the losing end, but you hate to see a guy like that lose because he was just kind of putting his team on his back. What happened in that game though? So like I said, obviously it was a 16-12 game in the first half. So Puerto Rico actually the Impact took the lead at the half. But in the second half, it's like the Spartans' offense just fell apart. Like Lawrence, like he couldn't handle the rush, and
yeah,
as you know, right, the impact they were just sending like athletes at him. Like so, I know Maxence Giroux was one of the guys in the secondary benefited, but like the rusher for Impact, I believe it was with the
yeah.
number
It's
T.O. Morville.
yeah,
Yeah, this kid is long. This kid is
yeah.
long, and he's
He's a
fast.
basketball player.
Okay, and that's what I was gonna ask because that's what it looked like. This kid was like
Yeah,
he you could tell like football might not be his first sport, but he was able like he had that athleticism about him. He was just getting in the face of Lawrence and not in a negative way. Like he's using his length and his reach to really like
yeah. No,
alter throws.
he's a very good basketball player. So,
Yeah.
short story about that is that so a lot of these guys play on the Impact flag team for 7-on-7,
Yep.
and they go recruiting, right? So it's a
Mhm.
big school. So they go recruiting, and like one place you want to go is try to recruit some basketball guys to
Yep.
come join you. So they got this guy to come join him, and now he's one of us. He's a solid rusher. That
Definitely.
helps out a lot. So
Definitely. Yeah, man,
that's
and I like this team. I like this team. Like they're young. See, and this is the difference. You get some of these young teams. You know, most of the kids are like between the ages of 19, let's say 21, 22. Are they a little cocky? Yeah, maybe a little cocky, but not arrogant. There's a difference
mhm.
between cocky and arrogant, right? And these kids, like Raphael Jolin, he made a lot of plays for his team as well, and like a lot of parents came out to watch the game, which is always a good
Yeah.
thing. And like there's a lot of athletes there and just making plays, and they started to pull away, and that's where the difference came between these two teams because the Spartans had a good start, right? They came out fast and that, but you're just gonna keep up with the athleticism and the length and the speed that Impact had, and that was a huge difference in this game.
Mm, okay. I'm curious to see how they're gonna do against their next game. Because I think they're playing the number one. That's number two seed.
Yeah, the Impact they're playing the entrepreneurs with it today. So it's the eighth
Yeah.
seed of the
Sorry.
Impact, and the
Yeah, they play
entrepreneurs
on.
are
Yeah.
the Emperors are the 2 seed.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a big matchup for them.
Definitely.
Um.
I didn't. So I had a chance actually. So I ran into to Jonathan Montour of the Emperors Richard J. So the retired Emperors, and he's a McGill defensive lineman. So he's obviously excited about the upcoming season of McGill, but he's also excited about flag. Like a lot of guys he played tackle with, and he's excited. He's getting a chance. So he's a D lineman, right? But he's playing coverage. He's playing corner pretty much on this team, right? And he goes,
Mhm.
I ran into him about 2 weeks ago, and he's like, I'm showing off my athleticism and that. And he goes, guys are surprised to see that I'm actually able to cover people. And I'm like, hey, man, as a former D lineman, I love that. And
Yeah.
having a good time playing ball. So it's good.
Yeah. Because you never see them doing stuff like that. So it is
Exactly.
also nice to
Exactly.
see how these big guys can actually move.
Yep.
Cougars versus Big Assets, 34-0.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
kind
man.
of
Oof.
that's
Yeah. That's.
that's the fact that Big Assets couldn't score a point there. It's kind of, I mean,
And they were like the 10th seed, right? They're like a 4-6 team. So, I mean, yeah, it's under 500, but I mean, they made the playoffs, right? You needed at least
yeah,
4 wins to get into
just,
the playoffs. And then
yeah,
you show
to
up
score
flat.
0 points though.
That's not good, man. Like so they had
Like,
look at Justin Solanga played quarterback, 10 of 20 for like 64 yards and 3 ints. I mean, I'm looking at the team right now. I mean, so he Solanga. I don't think that he's not actually. Yeah, he is the regular quarterback. Yeah,
mhm,
19 TDs on the season, 9 ints. Yeah, 0 points, man. I mean, oh, y'all got to do better than that. Like
yeah.
it's
Well,
yeah.
also shout out to Cougars defense as well. We'll give them some
Oh
praise,
yeah,
but
for sure, for
to have
sure.
to have just to score that much is kind of crazy. And then you have TD Blitz that won 32-18 versus bet the over. So
Yeah, yeah,
to be honest, with you there wasn't really much upsets. We have uh, the only upset I think we do have is the Stables beating FC Bling. But other than that, everyone that was supposed to win pretty much won. And then going into the quarterfinals, we have Passing TDs versus Cougars, Emperors Retreat versus Impact, Panthers versus TD Blitz, and Balls Deep versus the Stables. So we have some pretty interesting games that's going to be happening on April 27th and April 28th, where it's gonna test a lot of teams that are kind of the high seeds, and kind of we're
yeah.
gonna actually see if they're able to continue how they were doing in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it here. So a couple of teams met. Pardon me. A couple of these teams already met in the regular season. Um, so we have Passing Cities actually beat the Cougars 25-12 in week two. In that game, the Passing Cities were up 12-0 at the half, and then obviously they scored 13 more points. They went 13-12 in the second half, right? So again, 25-12 passing TDs over the Cougars in week two. Emperors and Retro today and Impact, they did not play in the regular season. So again, this will be the first time these two teams match up.
Matchup.
Panthers and TD Blitz, they met in week one. So like a long time ago, obviously back in January. Panthers up the wall victory 22-8. 22 points is not a lot, but I mean, they held their opponents 8 points, which is
Yeah,
always
a
something,
week.
you
You
know.
know how week one is, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
when
well, that's
sometimes
it.
you don't even
That's
have
it.
half your roster. It's
Yeah,
hard to relate on a week one, but
yeah, no
we got
chemistry yet
yeah.
and all that. And Balls Deep beat the Stables 22-29, pardon me, 29-12, I should say, my apologies. And
Okay.
that was all the way back in week four.
Okay. So it seems like math. Like if we're going back from the past, it seems like all the higher all the well it depends how you look at it, but the lower seeding team seems like they're gonna win, and then we have a good matchup between Impact and Emperors if everything goes accordingly how it was during the regular season.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so all those games. So again, passing TDs and Cougars is this Sunday, and then this coming Monday again, Emperors, Retroche, Impact, Panthers, TD Blitz, and Balls Deep the stable. So good luck to all those teams. We'll have to see what happens. Next week we'll come back and obviously have a recap of those games.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Division Six
Six
A.
A, yeah. So we had looking at the matchups, we had so everything took place after our last podcast. So we had Go Rush knocked off the Creamsicles 24-12. We had the Angry Birds knocking off Red Zone Buzz. Actually, I think I picked Red Zone Buzz last week, so I was wrong on that one. Angry Birds getting a 26-13 win in that game. TD Brothers in an epic showdown with Team V, they ended up emerging 32-27. And then the final game of the first round was the Scumbags knocking off the Swiffer Wet Jets, another close one, 27-25 this past Saturday in Saint Laurent. So actually, all the
Yeah.
games took place in Saint Laurent between Thursday and Saturday. So a lot of close games there.
Yeah, a lot of upsets too, right?
Yep,
Because Gold Rush
exactly,
is
exactly.
a lot of the visitor teams. So basically, for the ones that don't kind of know, if you're visiting means you're the higher seed. So
Yeah,
when you're home, it means you're the lower seed. So we had three upsets: Gold Rush, TD Brothers, and Scumbags. Like, sometimes it's not as big, but I do know TD Brothers. They finished 12th in the seeding, so that means Team B was fifth. So we have a big upset there. The fifth seed got knocked out, and
yeah,
then Scumbags was the 11th seed. So that means the sixth seed got knocked out as well. And then for Gold Rush was the 10th seed. So pretty much you had the 12th seed, the 11th seed, and the 10th seed all went out. They knocked away the fifth, sixth, and seventh. And then Angry Birds and Red Zone. That was between Red Zone was eighth and Angry Birds was ninth. So that's like an 8 to 9 matchup, which is kind of like a flip of a coin to a point.
yeah,
But we had three big upsets going into the divisional playoffs. And then moving forward into the quarterfinals, we have some. To be honest, you, I don't. I feel like I like this is how I think we talked about it last time as well. The last podcast, I like if I'm '90s classics, LVL, Jack Boys, Miguel Swim Team, and Shawnee Shows. I'm pretty happy because the
Hell yeah.
top fifth and eighth seed are out. So those are the teams that
Uh-huh.
kind of finished 7-6. Sorry, 7-3, 6-4. So like a lot of the teams finished close towards like the top team. So Nine Classic, LVO Jack Boys, teams like that. So like now instead of playing a team that's 7-3, you're playing versus a team that's 4-5, 4-5-1, or 5-5.
Exactly.
So I don't know. If it was me, I'd feel pretty confident going to the game and feel more comfortable the fact that you're playing versus a worse of a team that you should be playing against. If they're, it
Oh
is
yeah,
obviously
100%. Yeah.
big shout out to the scumbags and TD brothers, whatever. But just for those lower source seeds to kind of see like, oh, there was upset there, but this team is not that good. They only won 4 games or 5 games. Like sometimes it's not the best to kind of look at it like that, but I feel like you feel a bit more confident going into the second round when you see teams like that.
Oh yeah, listen, 100%. I mean, it is what it is. Like we all kind of trick ourselves into that. We're like, okay, yeah, yeah, no, we want to play the best of the best. No, you rather have the easiest path, pardon me, possible to the championship, right? I mean, again, when you win the championship, I think we said it last week. If you win a championship at the end, no one's gonna be like, oh, well, they beat this backup quarterback, or they beat
Yeah,
the 12th seed for the no. You win a championship, you win a championship. No one cares how you did it as long as you do it, right? Yeah. So I mean, listen, if you're one of those teams now on paper at least it's an easier role. We'll have to see. You got to still play the game, right? You have to get onto the field and you have to line up man to man, woman to woman, whatever the case may be, right? So we'll see what
yeah,
happens. But again, on paper at least, having an easier matchup should mean you have a better chance of getting a W.
yeah. If you had to choose one of the games out of the four games that's going to be happening this week, and then I guess the Monday, which one would the most interesting game? So someone had to ask you, like, hey, Brand, out of the Division 6A quarterfinals,
Oh
what do you
yeah.
think would be the most interesting game? Which one would you choose?
Okay, so I'm gonna say it. I'm a little biased on this one. I'm gonna say '90s Classics against Scumbags for the simple reason that '90s Classics is so Jamie Ojea, right? They met in the regular season. 90s Classics with a 20-19 win, right, in week 8. So Jamie Ojea, he threw a touchdown pass. A buddy of mine, Troy Lenvey. So Troy Lenvey, I won a championship with him. I played Div 6 like 1 year with a couple of friends, and I met Troy. Troy was on the team, good dude. He ended up getting a scholarship actually to I think it was North Alabama as a
Okay.
kicker. And this guy was a monster receiver, monster DB. He talked a lot of trash, but he was a good dude. And his dad was like his former coach. His dad was like a stand-up guy too. And when he one of those guys, play football back in the day, he would try to like to kind of coach us up on the sidelines about certain plays that he would see that weren't working and were working. Stephen Harpasaw was our quarterback. So this is a long time ago. He was playing Div 6, right?
Hmm.
And we ended up winning a championship, which was a lot of fun. This guy Brad Evans ran the team, anyways, whatever. So he got a scholarship to I think it was North Alabama. Let me double check that, but he was gone for a couple of years. I know he retired. I think he had concussions or something, so he retired. So now he's making his return to FPF, and he was a monster in that game. So, anyways, I'm hoping to have a chance to see him. '90s Classics against Scumbags is a game I'm looking forward to the most. McGill swim team as well against the Angry Birds, and I know a couple guys on the McGill swim team. I'm always pulling for them. I think their game against Angry Birds as well should be a really good one. Again, no shade to LVO Japways, TD Brothers should be a good one as well. Chomedy Chos, I've had a chance to cover that team last couple of years against Cold Rush. All the games I think are going to be really good in the second round, no matter what the seedings are. But again, if you're asking me, I'm going to say '90s Classics against Scumbags.
Okay.
But what about you?
I would go Angry Birds versus Miguel Swim Team, just
Okay,
because it's kind of the closest seeding teams.
right.
Miguel Swim Team did beat Angry Birds 25-12 in week 3, the last matchup, but again,
Okay,
a long time ago. So I would like to see the rematch between those two teams and kind of see
okay,
um, how Angry Birds are going to adapt seeing Miguel Swim Team again going into the
okay.
quarterfinals.
Nice. Yeah, again, best of luck to all the teams that are playing. Looking again at this, like I said, so Sunday, '90s Classics, Scumbags, all the games in Shadigi. So this coming Sunday again, '90s Classics, Scumbags, LVL Jack Boys, TD Brothers, McGill Swim Team, Angry Birds. Your pick for the best game in this division. And then Monday, also in Shadigi, Shamedy Chos and Gold Rush. Uh, looks like 4 great games. So best of luck, pardon me, to all 8 teams. The semifinals will be the following Sunday, May 4th, also in Shadigi.
Mhm.
All right, let's hop
Okay, let's
over
go to
5B.
Division 5B.
All right, all right. Yeah, so 5B here. So a ton of games
So
obviously that happened all before last week's
I
podcast.
believe,
Those.
yeah. So I believe we talked about all these games, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
we did,
Mhm.
yeah. So everything's kind of talked about regarding 5B. I didn't we didn't really talk about matchups. I don't think. Um, so we kind of could go down. I don't think we talked about matchups.
So, well, I mean, so again, we have these games coming up now. Well, the first one on the ledger, right, is Ducks against the Super Turbo Navets. These two teams met back in week 8. The Ducks with a 28-12 victory. Again, back in week 8 at Statty Bear. So obviously the Super Turbo Navets looking for a little bit of revenge this coming Sunday. Also, all these games are in Chattagee. Dirty Dogs and Dragon Magic. I've scored kept these teams a lot throughout the season. I'm interested in that game.
Hmm.
I don't know how much defense is going to be played, but I think there'd be a lot of bombs, a lot of deep shots. I don't know how many be completed, but there will be a lot of deep shots. Both teams actually did not play each other in the regular season, so that's we had the convo last week, right? So that's going to be kind of a unique matchup. Teams might not be too familiar with each other, right? Having not played. Maccabees and no punt intended. Looking at that right now, so these teams, yeah, as well, they did not play in the regular season, unfortunately. So there's another one.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, there's 25 teams right in this division, so
Yeah, yeah,
it comes to a lot of chances that you don't play a team. There's higher chances compared to other divisions where
that's
it's
it,
not
that's
like
it, that's it.
18 or 19. You have 25, right? So there's 15 teams that you are not going to play against. So that's also nice to see because you don't have recurrent matchups, right? Sometimes
Exactly,
it's nice, and
exactly.
sometimes it's like, oh, this team again, like so. I also feel like if you're a team and you play like you get 10 solid games, regular season games, and then playoffs you play a new team, then you play another new team, and you play another new team. Like I feel like you're really getting your money's worth.
Oh no, 100%, 100%. I mean, and that's what it is. You want to see new players and see new competition, and especially in the playoffs. I mean, it is like we had the conversation last week. Like I said, right? Sometimes it is an advantage to have played a team before, but sometimes it's also not. So you go head to head and see what you have, right? See what you got. And the final matchup, so two teams that did play each other in the regular season is Le Manjo de Bench, pardon me, taking on the Demons. Le Manjo de Bench got a 25-13 victory over the Demons, and I believe that was back in week 11, I want to say. Yep. No, yeah, week 11.
Okay,
Week
so
11.
that
So the
was
Demons
pretty
looking for some revenge. Yeah, pretty, exactly. Yeah, pretty recent. Pretty recent.
recently. Okay,
Yeah.
well, good luck to the teams that are gonna be playing this
Good.
Sunday. I think it's what 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So they get oh sorry, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're back to back to
Yeah.
back to back games. So pretty
Yeah.
much after the Ducks get a kind of good of advantage because after the games are done, maybe they'll stick around, watch a
Exactly.
few of the playoff games because it's in their division, right? They're most likely going to be playing one of these teams after them after their game
Oh,
is
they
done
will.
if
Yeah.
you win.
Yeah.
So that's always nice. I find that's pretty cool too when you have a division playing like right after each other. Because sometimes when you have them all playing at the same time, you can't really watch to see your competitor, and like sometimes
Yeah.
it's good to have those mental notes to see what the quarterback does. So when you're done, your game is done, you kind of get to check to see how the other team does, and then make your notes, whatever. Because again, you might play against this team in the semifinals, and that little note you made on the quarterback, he only throws one way, or he only throws to a receiver, or just little small little details could help you win that matchup going into the semifinals.
I hear you. I might actually was gonna ask you about that. Well, I have a bigger question later about rivalries, but so looking at that, right? So I always hated that when I'm playing at the same time. So when I'm playing at a different time, um, than someone who like one of the teams I could potentially be playing in the playoffs, right? Like I personally think that I'd rather play at the same time so that no one gets an advantage. Because yeah, you're right. If you're the Ducks, right? You're playing the Super Turbo Navets, or if you are the Super Turbo Navets, obviously it's the Dirty Dogs, Dragon Magic, Maccabees, no pun intended, Le Manjo de Band, Demons have any common sense. Those other six teams will be at that game,
Yeah,
right? Watching and scouting.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially well, like it's a gap from 10 to 7, but because it's also Sunday night. I would
yeah,
understand it's Saturday night, Saturday night Shadigi might be a vibe, but Sunday night 10 p.m. Like if I feel like if you're motion bag, I don't think you really want to get there at 7 and kind of watch the games. But
And that's what I was gonna say exactly. That's the flip side of that coin, right? I
yeah,
mean, you
I
want
feel
to
like you could get there at 9. You could watch the Maccabees
yeah,
versus
yeah,
Edmonton. I think because you warm up, it's
yeah,
playoffs. It's completely different how everything's kind of. You don't just show up 5 minutes between your game. Like you can. Like don't get me wrong, I've
like,
done it before, but
try not to, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's something where I feel like maybe 9 o'clock you get to. But I feel like also like for the Ducks, like if they're already there, I mean you might as well like,
Yeah,
change.
if that's what I was gonna say, if you're the Ducks and you're already there, you might as well at least stay to see the 8 o'clock game, Dirty Dogs and Dragon Magic,
Yeah,
and if you can, Maccabees, no pun intended. But like you're
yeah,
saying, if you're the Demons and Les Manjo de Bench, if you're starting at 10, yeah, I'm not showing up at 7 o'clock to watch a game if
yeah,
I'm starting at 10.
exactly. Especially on a
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Especially
Saturday
Sunday night.
maybe,
Yeah,
like
exactly, exactly.
but a
Sunday
Sunday
night,
night
Shadagi, yeah,
Shadigi, yeah, it's not.
slapping.
I don't think it's a vibe.
Even
But
if you lived in Shadagi, I don't think you want to show up there. I'll be honest. It is what it is. Listen, if it was the semifinals and it's championship
yeah,
the
yeah, for
next week,
sure.
a
Because
hundred
yeah,
percent.
exactly. Because now you want to know who you're playing against. You kind of want to
Exactly,
make those mental notes.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all
Um,
right.
let's go
Let's
to
hop. So four
five
B, 5A.
5 8
Yeah,
5 8.
5A. Yep. Yep. Waiting around for like 4 hours. Yeah, it's not happening. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we had yeah game. So the only game that we didn't get to talk about last week was Ball So Hard University against the Merchants because that game happened Saturday night. So we see Ball So Hard University with the 31-25 victory over the Merchants. So a close one. A close one. Again, Ball So
Yeah,
Hard University getting the dub. They're advancing to the second round. They'll be taking on the Pigeons this Sunday. Just looking at this game. Yeah, three INTs for Vincent Russo. So this is weird. So I'm looking at it here, right? So Ball Hard University, Vincent Russo was a quarterback, 9 of 15 for 143 yards, four TDs, which is great, but then three INTs. Somehow he managed to get the W over the Merchants' Daniel Spina, who went 17 of 32 for
that's
179, four TDs and one INT. Like this makes no sense to me, but I mean,
crazy.
and oh no, okay, so yeah, okay, Daniel Spina, the one interception he threw got returned for a touchdown by Vincent Rousseau, actually, coincidentally enough. Okay.
Mm,
Um.
yeah, pick six. Yeah, I kind of pick six.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game changer there. But to throw three ints,
Yeah.
a lot of ints. The fact that Daniel only threw one as well. I mean, uh, does change. I mean, three. Usually when you
So
throw three interceptions, you do lose the game. But I mean, if you could get a
yeah,
pick
yeah, well,
six,
that's it. That's
the
it.
fact that you got a pick six on the only interception that the opposite team threw, I mean, that does
That's a
help.
backbreaker. That's a
Extra possession.
backbreaker. Shout out to Matthew Dion who got the game-winning touchdown, 26-yard TD with about 3 plays left. I'm not sure what happened here. So it's weird. So I'm looking at the play-by-play, and like, so Dion got the TD, and then they went for a 1 point convo, which was unsuccessful. And then somehow Ball So Hard University got the ball back,
Maybe
and then threw an
onside?
interception.
No,
Yeah, I guess yeah. But no, it'd have to be an onside or no. Uh, something's off with the play-by-play because Ball Hard University got the ball back right after missing a 1 point convo.
yeah,
So,
it's weird.
anyways, whatever. Ball So Hard University, congrats, they got the W. So again, like I said, they play the Pigeons now. So let's look on to these matchups. Yeah, so again, Balsa Hard University Pigeons. All the games are this Sunday. Once again, Shadagi. Toon Squad against Thunder Buddies. I had a chance last night to talk to Terry Babalis, a quarterback for Thunder Buddies, as well as Thunder Villains, because he won his co again last night. They're looking forward to that matchup against Toon Squad. Reborn Prospects, arguably the most exciting team in this division, taking on Ice Up. And the Baby Sharks in Vice City will wrap up the quarterfinals this Sunday.
That's gonna be a good matchup.
Yeah,
Reborn Prospect versus Ice Up.
oh, yes, it will. I'm actually looking for that. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because again, Ice Up, I believe Ice Up was a lower seed, right? Going into this, let me just open the schedule. I mean the standings.
I know they did not face each other in the regular season. I know that.
Yeah, so Ice Up is the 16th seed. So they knocked out the one seed. So now they're going for the Reborn Prospect is the fourth seed. So they're going for the fourth seed because this is division. This is the division where we lost the one, two, and three. So they're only the
Right.
fourth seed is
Right.
left as top 14. So it's gonna be curious to know. I feel like right now ISUP has the momentum going into this playoff game, right? Um, Reborn prospects barely get out versus freshman XL, so they barely escape that. They barely escape that game, and then you have Ice Up that gets a complete blowout versus No Flags Given, where they win by 18 points. So they're going into the next matchup with confidence, and Reborn prospects. I think maybe they're kind of going in with they're carrying something on their shoulders. The fact that they only won by 2 points versus a freshman XL team, so I'm not saying like they're not ready for it, but maybe they're gonna be. They're maybe for sure they'll probably have some worries going into the game. The fact that they only won by two compared to ISUB knocking out the number one seed by 18.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I was looking at it here. So the only game in this round between teams who have played each other already is Baby Sharks and Vice City. Baby Sharks with a 31-15 win all the way back in week 4. So that was like January 26th. It's obviously a while ago. Um, how much advantage do you think that gives the Baby Sharks? Or do you think it gives them any advantage that they got the W in the regular season over Vice City? Mind you, it was all the way back in January.
What was the score? Sorry.
31-15 for the Baby
Yeah,
Sharks.
it's a big advantage. I feel like even though it's been a while, January, but the fact that you won my double digit points, I
Yeah,
mean, um, 16 points is still 16 points at the end of the day.
it's
I would
true.
say it's different if you win by like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, even 10. But to kind of you said sorry, it was they won by 16, so they won by
Yeah,
basically double digits, almost a three-score game.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for them, I feel like it's pretty. I think it's a big advantage. Um, are they gonna? Hopefully, they kind of use it in a good way, and they kind of don't look lightly on Vice City, and they're kind of like, oh, we'll already beat this team, and they don't kind of put the gas to the pedal because that's also something that unfortunately it could hurt them in the long run.
Yep.
But if they're kind of going into the game with the confidence saying, yeah, we beat this team by 15, but we're still gonna make sure we're 100% in it, and we're not gonna give them the benefit of the doubt or anything like that, then I think they should be pretty comfortable, and I think it's a again huge advantage.
Okay. And with again, like you talked about, right? So no flags given the number one seed. Old Pass the number two. The Fina Devils the number three. They got bounced in the first round by teams. Obviously, I'm looking at it here: Ice Up, Vice City, and the Pigeons. Obviously, that speaks to the parity, right, and the talent in this division. Do you predict any upsets this coming weekend? Did the upsets continue,
Well,
or things get back to
to be
normal?
honest with you, I think everyone else, I think Toon Squad should take Thunder Buddies.
Okay.
I mean, as I said, I'm looking for the reborn prospect in the Ice Up game. That's good. I think Baby Sharks are going to be Vice City. Also, Hard is going to be Pigeons.
Right.
Me, it's the reborn prospect in Ice Up. Just the fact that Ice Up, like again, it was one of the teams that I thought their record was a bit better. I thought they were like 8-2 at the time. Well, when we were talking, I remember I was like, "Oh, this team's like undefeated." And you're like, "Oh no, they're like 3-3." And I was like, "Oh what?" Because every time I score keep them, they win. They're winning their games.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
feel like they're. I feel like they're a dark horse just because the amount of they have their roster is it's weird. Like they have athletic guys on the team.
Okay.
Um, and it's like I find their quarterback super good too. Like he has his I his name Max
Mhm.
Morani. I find their quarterback pretty good too. Like he uses his legs a lot. He makes certain reads. Sometimes he has horrible games where it's he's not his day. But I feel like when it comes to playoff, I feel like he's a type of guy that he puts a lot of the stress on his back. Like he's like it's
Right.
go time, you know. So
Okay.
I feel like just to have a type of leader like that going into the playoffs, I feel like it's something to kind of look for. Like I think that's the reason why they beat No Flags Given the way they did. Like I would have confidence as him going in, like as a quarterback going into the playoffs. Sometimes when you have a quarterback, you can't really trust them to a point. You're like, oh, they're not going to bring their A
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
when it comes to playoff time, this guy's coming lock and loaded, and he's ready to go.
Okay. Again, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, you could definitely be right. I mean, if he's locked in, obviously their chances of winning go up a lot more, right? But we have to see if that's going to be the case this Sunday. Again, a lot of good games. I'm excited. I'm excited about this division, man. Again, there were no first round buys, right? And this is what we were talking about, right? Throughout the season, records are great and they are important. Obviously, they help your seating in that and they help you gain confidence, or sometimes do the opposite, lose confidence. But again, getting onto the field and playing the games is why we're here. And like we saw, top three seeds, at least one of them thought for sure they're winning a championship or at least making the finals, right? And they're all gone
Yeah.
after the first round, right? Second round, I expect these games to be really tight, and I won't be surprised if we keep seeing more upsets. Reborn prospects, like that's the way you're leaning. I'm kind of leaning the same way as well, but again, we can definitely be wrong. So we'll have to see what
Sure.
happens.
All right. Let's go to 4B.
All right.
So again, we kind of talked about some of these teams. Yeah, we talked. Yes, yeah, we talked about some of these teams because we went back in on Wednesday. Wednesday was April 16th.
Yeah.
So we talked about the games already. All the games happened on April 13th. So we already talked about this last podcast. We didn't talk about the matchups for the quarterfinals. So we have Black Vipers versus Raw Sauce 2.0,
Yep.
Team Sexy versus Casta 12, Hooligans versus Ramfins, and Wen Diesel versus the Chosen One. So
Yeah.
just something to point out. I talked about it last podcast. Sanders told me one of his teams that he feels most confident going into the playoffs, and he plays for the
Wow.
chosen
Okay.
one.
Yep. Yep.
So the
Yep.
fact that he gets the number one seeded when Diesel, it's going to be very interesting how these both these teams are going to play versus each other. To be honest, I think that Win Diesel is going to take care of business. I don't think Sanders has enough firepower to keep up with Win Diesel, and I think he's going to do way more mistakes than Seabag, the quarterback for Win Diesel. I think he's going to do way more mistakes than him. But I feel like it's going to be also going to be a very interesting game. That's going to be happening
Yeah.
today, actually, right? Yeah, this Wednesday. Today, yeah,
I
we have
believe you're right. Yeah.
four
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
happening tonight at Saint Laurent.
Yeah.
So one
I.
game in Laval actually, but three games happening in Saint Laurent tonight. So it's gonna be very interesting for the 11 p.m. the 11 o'clock game.
Yeah. Yeah. 11 o'clock. Yeah. It should be good. I'm probably gonna be scorekeeping that game actually, so I am looking forward to that one. That I was gonna ask you about that. So that's the matchup, right? Sanders against Will. It is what it is. The two best players on the respective teams. Just going back to that, they met in the regular season. Win Diesel for 33-24 victory over the chosen ones. I believe that was back in week one. I want to say, just double checking my notes here. Yep, it is, yeah, back in week one. It was a 13-0 halftime lead for Win Diesel, and then they got outscored 24-20 by the chosen ones in the second half. So obviously the chosen ones not showing up in the first half. They show up in the second, but too little, too late. Again, losing 33-24. I'm expecting another close game in this one. So I know you said you have Win Diesel taking care of business, continuing their undefeated season. I think I'm siding with you on that one. I'm leaning towards them. I think top to bottom they have the better roster than the chosen one. That and they
Yeah,
have more chemistry because all those guys win Diesel, the Seaback brothers, and all those guys. They've been playing together for a long time, and now some of them play on Trap Stars as well. So I'm gonna give the edge to win Diesel, but I think it'll be another close one.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a close one too. I just think it's gonna be really on Sanders.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
Sanders is able to keep up and not make if Sanders can make no mistakes, I think that's gonna they probably could win. They could get the win out. I just don't think Sanders as a quarterback. I think when there's a good rush, he's gonna force a couple balls where he's gonna end up wanting to take back, and it's gonna cause some interceptions. And the fact if he can't use his legs as well, right? Also, Sanders has like two games tonight too, so that sometimes that doesn't really
oh
help.
yeah, right, right.
Playing
You're
at
right,
nine, he's
right.
playing at
Yeah,
11. Bit of a jump too, you know. So I feel like when you're playing two games as well as a quarterback, it's not easy,
not always
you
easy.
know.
Yeah,
Wednesday night, you just had a long day. You're playing a Division 1 game at 9. You're gonna be active, and then all of a sudden you have to take a little break, and then you have to restart at 11 o'clock, and it's a lot.
right. I mean, speaking of Russia, it's going to be Felix Seabag going up against Sanders. Listen, I've seen Sanders, for a guy his size, the fact that he could cut on the dime and he can throw
Hmm.
across the body. He has a strong arm. His
Yeah,
accuracy, it's not as good as his arm strength, but he's a decent quarterback. He's getting better and better, which is what you want. I think for Sanders, one thing, and I know he's gonna listen to this. He has to make sure that if he makes a mistake or if his guys make a mistake, he needs
Yes.
to move on to the next play
Yeah.
because he gets focused on that and he starts getting mad at his receivers or mad at himself.
Yeah.
You got to go to the next play. Just forget about it, erase it from your mind. Like I said, I think when Diesel will win, it'll be a close one. I won't be surprised though if the chosen ones can knock them out because going undefeated is hard, but we'll see what happens. Looking at the other matchups here, so Hooligans and Ramfins, pardon me, they didn't play each other in the regular season. Neither did Team Sexy and Cast of 12. I'm actually looking forward to that one. Team Sexy with a 9-1 record. Listen, they have some weapons, man. Like I'm interested to see here what's gonna happen. So a guy I know who's actually gonna be playing on my team this spring, Sam. I gotta get his last name right. Sam and the swap. Oh God, horrible.
Yeah. It's long. Yeah.
Sam, yeah,
Yeah, I know
and
you're talking. I
anyways,
I
yeah.
know you're talking about.
Anastasopoulos. Anyways, I'll get it right after. I had banged it up a couple of episodes ago. Anyways, whatever. He's a playmaker on both sides of the ball, right? There's him. There's Andrew Steinberg as well, really good player on the team. Peter Burtz as well. So Peter Burtz is actually going to be playing on my team as well. He's underrated. He's really good on both sides of the ball. You can put him at corner. You can put him at I call it linebacker, but if you want to say halfback, you can put him anywhere at receiver. He makes plays,
Hmm.
and it's going to be that matchup with him and the guys from Cast of 12. Theo Cleach, 14 TDs this season. He's a weapon. Sam Cantain, 9 TDs. So it's going to be there's a lot of weapons on both sides of the ball. I'm really looking forward to that game. Black Vipers, like I said, against Raw Sauce 2.0. They met in the regular season. Black Vipers with a 34-6 win back in week 3. So I mean, the quarterback there for Raw Sauce 2.0, Ludovic, had 1 TD and 3 INTs. So he's gonna have to be a little bit better. Robin Messier, 2 TDs, as a receiver, two touchdowns, and as a defensive back, 2 INTs. So it's gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah.
Lot of big games coming up.
For sure. Especially a lot of like this is the one division where there wasn't any upsets going into it,
Yeah,
except for
yeah.
the chosen one versus the West Island boys, but it was like an 8 versus 9 seed type of thing. So now we have a 1 versus 9, 2 versus 7, 6 versus 3, and then 4 versus 5. So it's a lot of teams that they're pretty close. Like we're gonna see a lot of good games this tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think who you calling for Team Sexy and Cast of 12? Who
I
do you
think
have in
Team
that team?
Sexy is gonna take care of it. I think they're gonna win.
Okay. What about
I forgot the player. I forgot the name of the guy. He was playing division. I believe that's him. Maybe it's not. Looking at one of the pictures, but I think they have. I think Team Sexy is a well-rounded team. They have a lot of athletes compared to Cast at 12, where they also do have a couple guys, but I think they're just going to be able to edge them out
okay?
a bit for that. So I don't think, as again, I think Team Sexy is going to take care of business, go on to the next round, and hopefully play. Hopefully, it'll go one versus 4, then 2 versus 3,
All
kind of
right.
like a March Madness.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. My apologies. The quarterback's name for Raw Sauce 2.0 is look. I can read my own writing. It's Ludovic Goulet. So my apologies. It's calling him Ludovic, and it's like, what's his last name? And it's like I can't read my writing. Anyways, yeah, Ludovic Goulet. 3 INTs in a regular season meeting. He'll have to do better, obviously in the rematch. Division 3
Yes, sir. No, Division 4A.
for my bad. You're right. 4A. Got a little ahead of myself. All right. So yeah, looking at this here, man. The matchups. So again, all the matchups took place last week except for one. Traps. I actually score kept this game. Trap Stars getting the W 45-20 over Kung Pao. Yeah, the game was a little close at the beginning. Just Kung Pao had a lot of drops. So like Jean Francois Marquis, phenomenal player, obviously two-way player as quarterback. It's not horrible. Just he didn't have a great game. 4 INTs. Some of those INTs weren't his fault. Some of the INTs went off the hands of his receivers, ended up going back the other way. A ton of drops. A ton of drops for Kung Pao. I had score kept them earlier this year, about a month ago, and they looked a lot better than what they did against the Trap Stars. And obviously the Trap Stars just took advantage of all those mistakes. Ryan Garber 6 TD throws. Will Seabag actually played receiver. He had a good game as a receiver. I think he had 3 INTs. Yeah, Will Seabag had 3 INTs in that game, and he ran one of those back to the house. So I mean, it's just a sloppy game for Kung Pao,
Mhm.
and again, Trap Stars just took advantage and got an easy W.
Yeah. Going forward for the quarterfinals, all right. So you have Balls Deep versus Sleeping Stars. That's gonna be a very good game.
Yep.
You have the Predators that finish as the one seed versus Trap Stars, which is kind of a sleeper team. Then you have Speed Academy versus Killer Rays, and then you have Le Petit Carat versus Goons. So again, you have
Yeah.
four great matchups where you're gonna have a lot of veteran presence on a lot of these teams. You're gonna have a lot of teams that have been in the league for a while, right? So you have Balls Deep that usually have
Yep.
their veteran core. Then you have Trap Stars, also kind of like a veteran team. You have like Pizzicahat that are also a veteran team as well. It's kind of they're kind of established their name in this league now. And then you have a lot of athletic team like Goons, like Speed Academy, Sleeping All Stars. So it's going to be interesting. Like you're gonna have a lot of athletics versus also athletic, but less athletic, but more experience. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting to see how these games turn up this Wednesday. Well, tonight actually. Sorry.
Who do you give the edge to in that department? If you have a team that has a lot of athleticism, a lot of speed, versus a team who might not have as much, but they have a lot of experience, who do you give the edge to?
I would go experience. Just because I think, especially for when it comes down to a lot of these games, especially when you're coming into the quarterfinals and the semifinals, I
Yep.
feel like if you have a bit of more veteran experience, you're able to edge out the smaller mistakes like time management, um, reading a certain zone, getting a certain sack when you need a sack, or calling a certain play when you need a play, compared to when you're athletic. When it comes to like, okay, you got to jump all here, and you become in a situation it's 3-10, and you have a guy saying, "Yo, I could win
Right.
my matchup. I could win my matchup. Like, trust me." And then you throw it up in the air, and then he doesn't catch it, or it's incomplete, and then you get yourself into a 4th and 10. Compared to other quarterback where he's like he has more kind of a veteran presence, and it's like, okay, it's 3rd and 10. Instead of me trying to get the long bomb here. Let me get into a situation where I could make a throw. My guy maybe could avoid a tackle. If he doesn't, it becomes a 4th and 5, 4th and 4, compared to
Right.
getting myself into a situation where I'm playing when I'm playing versus a very good defensive athletic team. Let's just say I'm defensive wise, where you're not in a tough situation where your playbook is not limited to a certain amount because it's 4th and 10 compared to being 4th and 5, 4th and 4 type of thing.
Yeah.
And then the
Makes
same
sense.
thing regarding defense, where um, instead of going for that huge Hail Mary stop when it's like 3rd and 10, you kind of say, okay, guys, we're going to play it safe. We're not going to give up the touchdown. We're going to give everything underneath. So when you have a team where it's 3rd and 10 and they want to go for a deep ball, well, you're playing, let's say you're playing like a two deep with a spy one over top, and they force a ball and they get into a situation where it's 4th and 10, their playbook just shortens because not a lot of quarterbacks have a go to play when it's 4th and 10 compared to having a play when it's 4th and 5.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I go with the experience as well. I mean,
Yeah,
experience obviously says that you've been there
yeah,
and done that before, right? So
especially for
makes sense.
playoffs too, right?
Oh
Don't
yeah.
get me wrong,
Oh yeah.
I still have, especially certain games where I have like the heart is beating, like the blood is flowing, So even for me,
Yeah.
like anyone
Yeah.
has nerves, like it's playoffs, and it's like it's a whole completely it's a different game. So I think when you have a lot of veterans around you and kind of guys that experience the same thing that you experience, losing a playoff game and understanding what you need to do to get the edge to win out, when you have more guys like that, it's easier to um stay together compared to a other team that doesn't have as much experience and they could kind of fall apart.
Oh yeah. It's true. It's very true. It's very true. And I find as well, like you're saying, like with the whole falling apart, like people or well players, I should say, even in professionally, when guys are superior athletically, but their athletic skills, and this is like in a lot of different sports, when they're not getting the advantage or they're not winning, I guess you could say whatever, based off of just their athleticism, their talent, they kind of get that moment on the field or in a ring or whatever, or on the ice, or court, where like, oh shoot, and you can kind of see them, the wheels spinning in their head a little bit. We're like, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah,
Kind of thing, right? And like you said, the experience, you just fall back on what you know, and ideally it works out.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's exactly it.
Okay.
Again, I think it's gonna be very. I think all these games are gonna be super. Like I play at 9 o'clock tonight, so
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna stick around and watch probably maybe the 10 o'clock game. I want also my money's on the Pizza Hut to win it all. So I'm curious
Okay,
to see how
hey,
they
hey,
play.
okay, okay. Um, just quickly, I know the Petit Carrots against Goons. They didn't play in the regular season. It's a battle of the 4 and the 5 seed. The Petit Carrots are fourth. Goons are fifth. The battle of the 3 and the 6 seed. Speed Academy 3, Killer Rays 6. They didn't meet in the regular season either. Top seed, the Penetrators against the number 8 seed in the Trap Stars. Penetrators actually beat them 34-27 in week 5. So we'll have to see if the Trap Stars can get some revenge. Actually, Will Seabag had this matchup that actually intrigues me is going to be Will Seabag, who has 3 TDs as a receiver, taking on Nicholas Fawn. I've had a chance to see Fawn. He's played quarterback. He's played rusher. He's tall and he's super athletic as is Seabag. I wonder if eventually if Fawn will not if he doesn't play rusher, if he will line up in coverage, and if he'll cover Seabag. I'd be really interested to see that match against two guys who were like pretty good size and a lot of length and a lot of speed. So hopefully we'll get to see that. And Balls Deep, the number 2 seed again. I think I said that was my pick to win it all last week, taking on the number 7 seed in Sleeping All Stars. Balls Deep won 27-21 back in week 11. Um, Balls Deep, their defense held the Sleeping All Stars to a season low 6 points in the second half. So
Mhm.
we'll have to see if they can do that again and get the sweep this season.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be a good one.
Uh, Division 3. All right. So let's hop over to D3 here. Just trying to get the matchups here.
So we had a few games happening on the Wednesday night when we were doing the podcast. Well, after the podcast was done, um, we had no upsets really. So the only we had two upsets, and that was barbecue chicken and lay. Oh no, wait, sorry,
The brick fall. Yeah,
barbecue
it's a bit of an
chicken
upset. Yeah, a bit of an
and
upset.
super
11
daddies.
versus 6.
Yeah,
The
and then
brick
we had
fall.
a forfeit actually. Oh, not a forfeit, but a roster violation between
Yeah,
Junkyard
underdog.
Dog
Yeah,
and Underdog.
exactly. Exactly.
So
Yes.
uh,
Junkyard Dogs went over the cap by 6.2 points on offense, and that's it's a
yeah,
crappy way
that's
to end the
crazy. The
season.
fact that you don't realize, like, I
Yeah.
know it happens where you do have a lot of subs and guys that are kind of coming in, and so you're not really sure exactly your full roster, but if you need to check, like, even just to make sure everything's on paper, make sure everything's right, you need to be as a captain. I'm not sure who's the captain on that team is,
Jason
but it has to
Rossi.
be
Jason Rossi
okay.
is his name.
So it has to be someone that's a veteran and he's been in the league for a while. You need to make sure you're double checking.
Yeah.
Uh, there's the fact that you guys forfeit in the divisional playoff round where you guys won the game. I'm not saying maybe they would have lost if because they had to make sure someone didn't play someone that. So
Yeah.
going to their roster. I'm just gonna open up here. So their roster. So they're over exactly what you said. They're at
Dan Corey, Dan
486.2.
Williams,
So
Rory.
they would have to either take off um, Orloa Porer.
Oriola Poirier. Yeah, either
Yeah,
him or Corey. I didn't even know Corey played on that team, but okay, all right. I
yeah.
mean,
So one of those
yeah,
guys. And I think Rory's a core guy on that team. Ethan as well. So you had to make one of those guys can't could not play. Um, I think if you take Justin over 7, I don't think that's even gonna work. So one of those
no,
two guys would have to sit out that game. Um, and then they would have been completely different because they won 38 to 30.
yeah, 38-30. Yeah,
Yeah, they won 38
that's
30.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, that's the one thing you would hate to see. The fact that you go to your game, you guys win your game, and then all of a sudden, you find out that you guys are over the cap
Yeah,
violation and you pretty much forfeit. That's pretty something that's not fun to do.
yeah,
So
exactly.
unfortunately for them, but again, it's the job of the captain to kind of double check that just to make sure, triple check that because it takes 2 seconds to do if you know everyone in your roster, and it's a very easy thing to
Even
kind
when
of
you're at the field, I mean, it sucks to have someone come out there, but even on the field, be like, hey, listen, man, you got to sit. It is what it
yeah,
is. All right.
exactly.
Um, I had a chance to score keep the Bruins game. Well, two games that stood out to me. First, you know what? I'll get to the better part first. The Stoics knocking off the Bullies 44-43.
Yeah.
Game winning TD by Justin Swiminahan. Swim, Swiminahan. Sorry, as I'm trying to say. With 3 plays left. There's actually a good drive there by Chris Reve. It's an 8 play drive that saw Swiminahan get the game winning TD. So two veteran teams going at it. One of the young guys, Justin, again getting the TD to give his team the W. So that's always good to see. Vinny Galano tossed the rock pretty well for the Bullies. Again, just falling 1 point short. Heartbreaker for sure. Anything that stands out to you from that game, or
No. Again, I Stodix is my dark horse to win it all.
right,
Um,
right,
so for me, I'm happy that they took care of business and they got the win. I also said I felt like the fact that bullies, like, I knew Stodix were going to score a lot of points, but the fact that bullies were able to drop 43,
mm-hmm.
kind of surprising. But I mean, good for Vinny. Vinny had a it seems like Vinny had a great game,
Yeah,
and Stodix were just lucky enough to kind of hold them off and get that 1 point win at the end.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but other than that, like, also going down to other games, I feel like everyone kind of took care of business. I'm kind of I'm kind of torn that Bear Belly Barrage lost out in
Yeah,
the
27-12.
divisional playoffs. They had a good
Yeah,
season this year. They usually when they're in Division Three, I feel like they go like 2-8, 3-7. They don't do so well. So the fact that this season, I believe they went 7-3, maybe they went 6-4. So they did. I think this was probably their best season
yeah, yeah,
in a
yeah,
Division Three. In the Division Three. So like again, like, good for them. But the fact that they lost the first round kind of sucks to a B Ballers team that's also very good. It's a very good team, but
yeah,
27-12, lose by 15. It's kind of unfortunate. But again, like, shout out to them for having a great season. And it just sucks that you guys kind of fell a bit too short.
yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's not the way you want your season to end, but unfortunately, someone has to go home. Someone has to advance.
Hmm.
Um, Looking at some of the other games here, I had a so I was scorekeeping one game. I'll get to that in a minute. I Why I was scorekeeping on the field next to me in Saint Laurent last Wednesday. It was backfield penetration against Le Penguin, and let me tell you, that game was getting physical. I mean, listen, it is what it is with backfield penetration. They like to be physical. They like to talk a lot of trash. If you start talking back to them, it just gets things worse. Obviously, let's be honest here. Acting Lazaro was in the middle of it. I don't want to say Nick Rapini was really in the middle. He was kind of just hopping in to kind of separate some guys, but making sure he said his piece as well. Uh, Obviously with Le Penguin, they weren't taking it. They Passionard doesn't mind talking. A lot of those guys. It was at one point I think Anthony had made a catch on the sideline and kind of got tackled into one of the foam sideline benches. That obviously
Hmm.
that brought in the crowd, and then there was just talking and talking and multiple warnings. I'm not sure if any OCs got called in that game or not, but it was just, yeah, a lot of talking, a lot of physical play between two teams. I didn't realize because again I can't see the scoreboard for where I'm at. I was on field one. That game was on field two. I thought it was a closer game. Backfield penetration ended up getting they walloped the Penguins 44-15. So the game was
Yeah.
definitely not as close as it sounded like. But yeah, a lot of trash talk, and it's no surprise. AJ of course showed up, and he was never one afraid to give his opinion on things. He was there. I think Dan Lazaro was there as well, obviously to support his brother. He's never afraid to let his opinion be known. Shout out to Alessandro Berrazzoni there. 15 of 17, 7 TDs, 215
Yeah, he had a
yards.
great game.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was fantastic. So props to him and props to those guys on getting the W. And props to them also. Just again, a lot of shouting. No fist for no punches were thrown. So at least credit to those guys for at least having the big picture in mind and realizing let's not be stupid and get suspended. And no matter what the other team is doing, despite the fact that you're blowing out the other team, because we've seen before, right? Some players from both teams, specifically from one, have gotten some OCs before. So
Yeah.
credit to those guys for keeping their cool.
Going into the quarterfinals, you have Stoics versus Underdogs, Backfield Penetration versus Barbecue Chicken,
Yep.
Idaho, Idaho,
You know the
Pimps
pimps. Yep. Super
versus Super
Daddies.
Daddies, and then Bruins versus BB Ballers. Out of these four games that we're gonna get on Monday coming up and Wednesday, following Wednesday, what do you think is gonna be the most interesting game?
It's interesting. I mean, part of me wants to say the barbecue chicken backfield penetration game just because some of the names that'll be in that game. Isaiah Lard, obviously for barbecue chicken, Tam as well. I think that will be a shootout.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe a little bit more trash talking. I look at Udohoi, the Pims. I mean, they smoked Super Daddies 42-18 back in week 9, so it wasn't that long ago. So, I mean, listen, Super Daddies, they have a chance to rebound here, and it could happen. Bruins and B Ballers, I had a chance to score keep the Roosh Bruins game. I'll get to that in a second. I think that'll be the most exciting game between them and the B Ballers. I think they didn't meet in the regular season, so again, that there's that. I think that game has the potential to be close. The Stoics and Underdogs should be a good game. I mean, Underdogs shouldn't be there. Technically, they on paper they lost, but technically they didn't. So obviously they
yeah.
get the
If you had to choose one, which one are you choosing?
Bruins and B Ballers. That's
Okay,
that's that's the one. Yeah, Bruins and B Ballers.
okay,
I just want to say something quickly. I scored, like I said, I scored get that Bruins and Rouge game. Bruins good team. At Rouge, it is what it is, right? We've talked about these guys before. They're a good team. No one can say that they're not a good team. They have talent at all levels. They're a close group. It's just the the childish behavior from some of these guys. Not all of them, but for some of them, in particular, the quarterback actually Eric Lalonde, who by all accounts seems like a good guy. I don't know. I played against him before. He doesn't talk that much trash. He's usually the calming voice on his team. He
hmm
got kicked out of the game. He missed he missed 10 of the game's final 11 plays. At Rooster to credit, they were down. They made a comeback. Simon Loise, who's usually the hothead of that team, he actually played quarterback and got a touchdown for them. They needed a 2 point conversion in the first OT. That was the last play of the game, and that was the last play that Lalone was kicked out of the game for because he got kicked out for an OC. He basically both teams were chatting as Arush does, and the Bruins as well. Bruins, those guys aren't saints, especially we talked about AJ, his brother Nick. Never one afraid to let his opinion be known on anything. They were going back and forth. The referees, again, three officials for most playoff games, gave both teams multiple warnings, and then said, "All right." Lalone made a comment, and it was just like it was honestly it was a ridiculous comment. The comment was made towards Jocelyn Calixte of the Bruins, who he was chatting back and forth with Lalone and some other guys. So again, Jocelyn was no saint either. Just a comment that was made where I think the flag was thrown for was that Eric was talking about Jocelyn's accent. Both
okay,
these guys are francophone guys, right? I believe Jocelyn might be Haitian. I could be wrong. And Eric's like, "Oh, listen to his accent," and I was like, "Really? Like that's where you're going? Like that's it's ridiculous." And Jocelyn's looking at him like, "What's wrong with you?" Anyways, Eric Lalonde got kicked out the game. He has to live with that. Just my whole point of bringing that up is I was standing on the sideline, obviously scorekeeping, and I'm just like, "You guys got to be better than this." Arush was saying, Simon Loise actually, it was like, "We're done with FPF. We're not coming back. The league is against us." No, the league is not against you. You guys just run your mouths too much. And
yeah.
I
It's
played
not
against
that
you
deep.
guys. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's no conspiracy theory. I understand you might think you guys play physical, and I love physical football. I remember playing against this team in the FPF, the flag season this past fall, and there was a ton of penalties called on my team and their team, and they ended up getting more because they ended up running their mouths more and being the more physical team. And it's just again, there's no conspiracy against Arush. Talented
Yeah,
players, every single one of them, and I would like to see these guys back in the league. I hope they don't go through with that promise of not coming back to FPF. A lot of teams say that and end up walking that back afterwards. But just the common sense and the maturity needed to play in this league isn't the bar is not super high, but there still is a bar. And if you're at Roosh, you guys got to look yourselves in the mirror and be like, listen, we like to talk. Other teams will talk back. You got to be smart though. You got to know when you're giving when you told by the referees to stop talking, you need to stop talking. Simple as
yeah.
that. And
Just
that
yeah.
cost the Roosh their season.
Mm.
All right, Division Two. All right, all right. Yeah. So some big matchups coming up. Division two. There were no games last week, so kind of a bye week actually in the middle of the playoffs
Yeah.
for Division two, which I was kind of
So
happy
we
about.
had we had games from the divisional, and then
Yeah,
no
exactly.
games the prior weekend, and now the games are this Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Um,
E- I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to ECW Vultures. I want to see that matchup.
yeah,
Last
well, it's a
time,
rematch, right,
yeah,
from the
exactly.
60 versus 63. It's gonna be very. It's gonna be very. To be honest with you, again, we're gonna have some really good matchups. EZW and Vulture. That's gonna be a really good matchup because no disrespect for both of these teams, but there's no defense. So
Sure.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say first to 50 wins this game. That's where I'm gonna get
First
at. And then you have
50.
Dirty Birds versus Party Ballers, two really good defensive teams. When Party Ballers
Yep.
decide they want to show up and actually play, that's gonna be really good. And then you have Infantry versus Fins Up. That's also gonna be a very good game. A kind of like a rematch from last season where Infantry played Fins Up and they beat them in. I think we beat them in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And then Diamond Bougie versus Silent Ticklers. So you kind of have old school versus new school. Because Silent Ticklers is a bit of older school guys, and then
Yeah.
you have Diamond Bougie, the younger school, right? Like I kind of would see like
Yeah.
if someone would say what's the opposite of like who's Diamond Bougie. Like if you're gonna pick a team and give them 10 years, I would pick Diamond Bougie to be Silent Ticklers. And if you're telling me who Silent Ticklers 10 years ago, I would say Diamond Bougie. So I feel like it's
Okay.
kind of like it's a old school versus new school versus old school type of matchup that we're getting. So
Very true. Very true.
I think that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. Again, we have Sunday, April 27th, and then you have the Monday, April 28th versus Diamond Bougie and Silent Ticklers. Again, I'm with you as well. I think the most interesting game is going to be EZW versus Vulture, just because there's going to be so many points scored in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was looking at it and like, okay, 130 points when they met in week 12 against 67, 63 victory for the Vultures. Jeremy White and Ben McMahon, the two quarterbacks, they combined for 20 touchdowns. So that's definitely something. It's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, we had James Drysdale, guy you mentioned before, Oriola, Poirier, Nick Bladeswell, three TDs each. Kevin Donette, Anthony Drysdale, Crisley Bazil, who won't be eligible to play in this game, had three TDs for Vultures. JC Furlong, Fritz Senators, two TDs for ECW. I'm looking forward to that. If there's no defense, there's no defense. It is what it is. ECW is still the hottest team though in Division Two, 7 wins in a row. Right, they haven't lost since all the way back in week three. So let's see if they can keep that rolling. And they had that bye week last week. Uh, Dirty Birds and Party Ballers again. Dirty Birds were the top seed. They were the number one team, number one defense. Party Ballers coming in off a huge upset victory over One Stop. Again, that was my dark horse to win it all. I was definitely wrong about that. So it's gonna be interesting to see Hassan Duso and El Andre Abbey, obviously two receivers, one for U of M, the other for Con U. They're gonna make an impact in this game. Can the Dirty Birds defense slow them down? Uh, there's also Coslan's Claryville. He plays in another division. I remember seeing his name, but guy makes some plays. Decent receiver, really good as a defensive back as well. So we'll have to see what he can do, what impact
Yeah,
he has in that game. So that's the battle of the 1 and 12 seed. The 10 and the 3. So Fins up, the 10 seed, the infantry, the 3 seed. They didn't meet in the regular season. Fins up beat Cushion Corinthians 13, like we talked about, right? Jordan Otero, 6 receptions, 101 yards, two TDs. So obviously he's gonna look to have a similar impact in this game. The infantry will most likely be without Rory.
yeah,
So well, yeah,
yeah.
as you know,
Rory's
yeah,
thumb is
exactly. Yeah,
Rory's thumb is messed up right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I saw him last night. That thumb is it's a little yellow. I told him he needs to keep
Yeah,
on icing that and get a
yeah.
brace for
He's
that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not looking good. Oh man. To his credit though, so we'll get to Division One in a second. He warmed up last night. I was scorekeeping the game, the All Stars and Flagmont
yeah,
Sack. Warmed up. He ran some routes. He tried to catch a ball or two, and it didn't work. And I've
yeah.
had
He
that
was
in
telling.
before. Yeah, yeah. You don't
Yeah,
want
I was actually I was on the phone with him
that. Okay.
later, yeah, before, yeah, later
Yeah.
this afternoon. I was asking him, I'm like, oh, what happened? Because I heard about his Division One game, so I was kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Wanted to hear from his side. I'm like, what happened? He's like, oh, bro, I didn't get to freaking play. It was
Yeah.
hard to kind of just watch them play out there. Whatever. They lost some crazy stuff as well, but
Yeah, I'll tell you what
yeah,
happened.
right now, yeah, he needs to rest his thumb
Yeah, I
to
can
make
tell you.
sure.
So it's I'll show you. Well, I don't know if you can see it. It's the base of your thumb, right? That knuckle kind of on the bottom.
Yeah,
That's where it's that's where it's hurt. He thinks it's broken. I don't know if it's broken. I think it's just severely. There's like a really deep bruise. I've had that injury before, and that takes honestly like to catch a football at least 3 to 4 weeks.
yeah. Well,
Uh, yeah,
that's the hardest issue when it comes to anything that's happening into your hands, right? Like it
yeah,
could be your pinky, it could be your thumb, it could be
yeah.
a sprain or like that. You need your hands.
To do
Like we
everything.
do so much with our hands where it comes to a
Shoot.
point where like I know a lot of guys when if they discolate their finger or they sprain their finger, right? And they're like, oh, okay, my finger's fine. But it comes to a point where you can't physically catch as you would want to catch. It's hard to wear a glove. Sometimes you have to wear a sling. You have to or you
Yeah,
wear like a
yeah,
clip that
yeah.
where it brings your two hands together, right? So if you're lucky enough, I think the one finger you would want to get hurt, I would say, is your pinky.
Pinky, a hundred
And the
percent.
only reason why I'm saying your pinky is because you could put your pinky and the one that's next to it, so like these two here,
Yeah,
and if
your
you
ring
put it
finger.
together, you still have these three fingers here. You can
Yeah,
catch the ball
yeah,
like this.
100%.
Like technically, you can.
Ideally, you're going like this.
Or yeah,
Ideally, your pinky shouldn't even be touching the football.
yeah,
So
exactly. So I feel like that's the thing. But when you get anything inside here, that's when you're kind of like, all right. And then defense, you technically could use these three hands. Like, you're fine. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
I
Listen,
would say the pinky. If someone's gonna ask me something like, "What finger would you wanna like lose or hurt?" I'm like, take away the pinky. Yeah, I don't the pinky.
I'm gonna show you this. Hold on. I got this. I injured my the same spot where Rory has it. I injured it playing flag about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'll show you. This is a bracelet. I still have it. I
Okay.
remember catching a pass from my buddy Sean Avram, and the ball ended. I went down. It was he's one of his famous dirt balls. He throws the ball at your feet half the time. And I remember catching the ball, but it kind of bent my thumb all the way back.
Ouch.
And yeah, anyway, I made the catch, and then I woke up the next morning, and my thumb was a little bit like green and stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's not
Mm.
good. So it's basically it's just like a little brace you have on, right? And so it kept my thumb. Now I'm able to move it, so it kept my thumb kind of still, and I had to keep it on for like 2 weeks because I couldn't do anything. My thumb was like twice the size of the regular spot. And again, it was in that same spot, like right down here, like where the knuckle is. And so when Rory showed
Yeah.
me that last time, like, I will get this little brace, dude, get this sling. It'll help you because, like you said, like when you're catching a ball, the ball is coming in here, right? So it's coming in here, it's making an impact, and it's pushing your thumb back, right? So in that spot where it's really sore and tender, he's gonna feel it all the time. So you
Yeah.
can't be catching
No,
balls.
it's completely uncomfortable. It's one thing where people don't realize. You don't realize how like how much we actually need our fingers and stuff like that to kind of to do the
Yeah,
stuff that we have to do until it actually happens, right? And then you're like, oh, actually, I actually need I need my middle finger, I need my thumb, or stuff like
yeah.
that. So
Writing, driving, typing,
yeah,
anything. Yeah.
it's
Anyways,
unfortunate. It's unfortunate when injuries and stuff like that do happen, but it just kind of it's part of the sport as well,
so
right?
okay, so let me ask you. Assuming Rory's not gonna be able to play, I don't want you to give away too much, but how does that change what you guys do?
I think we're fine. To be honest with you, we have a deep core. Like
Right?
we're a deep team. So Rory's one of our top receivers. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but we have guys like Nicholas Coprini
Mhm.
that's gonna step up. Nicholas Mile, Kazaka. Like we have we're all rounded, right? We also have Ethan. Ethan doesn't even play offense; he just rushes, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
again, like how we look at it, it's next man up. I think we're three, six, we're nine guys on the team, right? So six guys on offense.
Okay, yeah.
So again, next guy up. It's a big loss for us when it comes down to chemistry between AJ and Rory, but it comes to a point where guys are just gonna be like, okay, well Rory's not here, someone else has to kind of start making plays for us.
Okay, okay.
So again, and also no disrespect to Fins up, it's like their defense is not the best
Yeah,
defense out
yeah,
there, so we could take advantage on that. So we should be able to score points. It's more the fact that he kind of hurts us more on defense because Rory is one of our lockdown corners. So it's going to be a point where we're going to have to kind of just make a switch. But again, we have a guy named Charles Olivier Vacher. That's an amazing corner DB that where we kind of made like a switch of him not playing. So he's going to have to step in now and get back into his role that he was with us when we won when we won our tier 2 championship. So he's basically back in the lineup for defense.
Okay, nice, nice. Well, best of luck to you guys. Just quickly with, pardon me, quickly with that Silent Ticklers Diamond Bougie matchup. So you're talking about obviously old school versus new school. I also want to say like offense versus defense, right? That Silent Ticklers offense, they can score on anybody. That Diamond Bougie, right? Third best defense in Division Two. So I'm expecting it's kind of one of those who's gonna flinch first kind of games, right? I mean, will it be the Silent Ticklers offense and Adam Rosen, who's not touching the ball that much, but Daniel Mancini, right? He's phenomenal player. He's getting the ball a lot. Obviously, Jordan Panetta, he knows where to put the ball up for those guys. So it's gonna be interesting. Will the Diamond Bucci defense have enough, be able to get enough stops, I should say, against the Silent
Yeah.
Ticklers offense?
No, I don't. I think it's also as again, and we talked about before how we were talking about the veteran and like the non-veteran, right? Like, so I think it becomes the same thing here. You're gonna have a veteran bunch of athletes, and you're gonna have Diamond Bougie are they are getting there. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple named guys like Manu.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
does Manu
Manu, yeah,
play on
yeah, he does.
Manu play on
Manu
Diamond Bougie?
Larra, yeah, he's there, he's
Yeah.
there, he's on the team.
So you have Manu, you have Felix that are kind of emerging. They're kind of getting a bit
Yeah,
older. Um, Manu,
he also
Felix.
fits
I'm
as
kind
well.
of just going down the
Fritz
roster.
Senatus.
Yeah, is he eligible to play?
I think he is. Let me double check that.
Fritz. I'm on the thing right here. I don't see Fritz for some reason.
Really, I thought he was on the team. Okay, my apologies. I thought he was on
John
the team.
Alexi, Charles. I don't see Flicks on this roster. I know he does usually play with them, but I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't
yeah.
think he played. I
Okay,
don't
you're
think he
right.
played with them this year.
You're right. What's it? Charles Vero,
Yeah. So
playmaker.
yeah. So but again, Charles is he hasn't been in the league for that long. Charles is also kind of young too. Um, like Charles Burrow, he's been in the league
Playmaker though.
since. Um, okay, he's been in the league since
Yeah.
2028. So yeah,
Two,
he's been in the
2000.
league for
Did you
yeah
say
2000. Sorry,
2000?
2018.
I should say, all right, okay,
2018.
that makes more
Yeah,
sense. All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
2018.
It's a
So yeah, so
decent
like
amount
a
of
lot of
time.
yeah, exactly. But you again, sign ticklers. You have like Tanner, you
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
Jordan, you have um Dan, not Danny,
There's Mancini, there's Rose, and all those guys.
yeah,
Jackie and
Mancini, you
Jackie.
have
Yeah,
Roy. I forgot his first name, but you have it's veteran presence,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I just
yeah.
think they're gonna. I just think that's gonna help them a bit more, and they're gonna be able to get a win. I think it's gonna be a very close game, but I think they're gonna be able to squeeze it out there and get that W.
Okay, okay. So you're going silent ticklers. Obviously, you're gonna go for your team against Fins Up. Dirty Birds, Party Ballers. Who do you have?
I have Dirty Birds.
Okay, and ECW Vultures. Who do you have?
That I don't know. As again, first to
Oh,
50,
okay, okay, all right. For, I,
whoever
I might
scores.
say first to 60 after the first meeting.
Yeah,
I
I
might say
don't. To
first
be
to
honest,
60.
I score kept that game,
Okay,
and
okay.
it came to a point where guys were taking 5 yard hooks and scoring touchdowns. So
Okay, okay,
I think defense is gonna be a bit better.
okay.
It's gonna be a bit tighter. There was a lot of missed flags, so I think they're gonna be able to actually deflag. So the reason why I said
Yeah,
50 is because I still think they're gonna score. There was a couple bombs too that also did help a lot of the touchdowns, but I feel like
right.
we're gonna take away those 5 yard hooks and those 10 yard hooks for touchdowns. So I think it's
Okay,
gonna be a big difference. But I'm saying 50. I think it's gonna end maybe like 45. No, like yeah, like 43-52, something like that. But I think
like
first one to 50, first
okay,
one that
okay,
hits that 50 mark is winning the game.
okay. All right, all right, all right. I don't want to give my pick yet. I'm gonna have the article out this weekend, so I'm gonna wait to then. But I'm excited to watch these Division Two games. Not just because I write for this division, but I think all of them are gonna be pretty good. So I'm excited. All right, let's hop over to D1 here. The
Yeah.
last
So
men's
D1 we
division.
only have 2 games, right? So
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
we
uh,
had the game that happened last night, All Stars versus Flag Moi,
yeah.
which I heard it
So
was
that
something.
yeah, I score kept that game last night, man. Flagwa, pardon me. All Stars had the game in hand. They um okay, so it was a back and forth, a lot of big plays. There was a moment in the game where It was fourth down, and Kevin White threw an out route to Theo. Was it to Theo? No, sorry, to Pat. Sorry, to Pat Jerome. Yeah, sorry, to Pat Jerome. Threw an out run on the sideline. It's about 5, 6 yard out by Pat. He needed about 4 yards for the first down. Quay Johnson, phenomenal player, came kind of from behind and over the top in front of Jerome and beat him to the sideline to the ball and knocked it away. So
Okay.
turnover on downs, flag wants about to get the ball back. Pat Chenard, the corner on the other side of the field covering Tyson Peterkin, got a roughing penalty,
Oh,
automatic first down. So that extends the drive for the All Stars. All Stars look like they were done. They keep the ball. So from there, this is where it turns. So again, it was a penalty called on Pat Chenard. The flag one sack part of my defense forced a four and out after that. Four straight
okay.
incompletions to get the ball back. Right, so they get the ball back now. It's about maybe I want to say a minute left in the contest because we're you know what I mean, we're in the pro clock and all that. So on the go to the play by play here. So basically, again, they forced them to run down. So now they get the ball. So first down, you see Alex Nadeau Puig, incomplete pass to the Guillaume Paquette, Matt Bond. It was over the middle, little hook right over the middle. Matt Bond came over the top and knocked the ball away. I'm like, all right, fine. Second down, the brothers Alex Nadeau Puig to Sam Nadeau Puig, 11-yard gain. And then third down, picking up a first, a huge play by JP St. Pierre. I believe it was a hook over the middle as well. That seemed to be the weakness of the All Stars defense. They were giving us stuff over the middle. That could just be because of the call, whatever. But 5-1 sack happily took that. Then we saw a 15-yard pass to Guillaume Robert, who just got by Theo Ojea. And then the next play of the game was game-winning touchdown, 11-yard pass to Francois Rochelot, who got by Pat Jerome. There's a blown coverage. I'm not sure if it's by, I think it was by Pat because the look on his face afterwards, he's kind of just crouched down in the end zone with his hands on his face. I think he either fell for a fake or for a
Yeah.
move or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Francois Rochelot got the 11-yard touchdown to win the game. They got the 2 point conversion as well. Kevin
They beat
Wyeth and
us
the
six
guys
point
had
lead.
one play left and they couldn't do anything after that. And that was the end of the game. And it was just like it was rare. It was just like silence and like kind of shock on the All Star sideline. Obviously, like I said, Rory was there. He was just. I felt bad for him. He's helpless, right? He can't play and he wants to play, and it just
Yeah, and
that
he's
could
kind
have
of
made
just
a
watching his
difference.
team struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
and it
the
was
fact
just
that
yeah,
if you think about it, we're in quarterfinals and all stars are out already. So
exactly,
like
exactly.
how
That's a
times have
shocker.
changed. Like that's a team where maybe they usually get out semis, but barely happens. Usually
Yeah,
ends.
yeah.
But the fact that they're out of quarterfinals, like you don't see a Kevin Wyeth experience, like semis not there, finals not there. It's kind of wild to
It's
me.
surprising. It's surprising, but I know you credit to you, like you talked about it a lot this season, right? Like not to say Kevin Wyeth lost his steps. I don't think he has, but he hasn't looked like the regular Kevin Wyeth that we've seen, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and,
but
and that's yeah,
but as again, the fact that All Stars played Flag Moi is such a it's not a good matchup. I would say the top three teams. I would say All Stars. I would say All Stars, Flag Moi, um, All Stars, Flag Moi, Braves, and I guess
Royal Malmoon
Royal.
here.
Yeah, really mean. But again, like I'm still giving the top three to All Stars, Flag Moi, and Braves.
Right, right,
The
right.
fact that All Stars had to play Flag Moi first matchup compared to playing a Party Crashers or Run It Twice. I mean, it would have been an
Yeah,
easier matchup
yeah.
for them. So
That's true. That is true. That is
it is
true.
unfortunate for them how like that's how the tables turned for how their playoff matchup was. And
It's
then
unfortunate for them. Sorry, so go continue. Continue.
oh yeah, so I know it's like it's just unfortunate the fact that we don't see Kevin see. It's also to be honest, like Kevin again, Kevin's probably one of the top quarterbacks I've ever seen play flag. So the fact that we don't get to see him in the semis or in the finals, it's something.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely for sure. I mean, listen, they're a staple of the league and right staple in the finals, right? I mean, if you would have told me that, yeah, the Braves knocked them out, it's understandable. But I mean, listen, Flag and no shit against Flag, right? They played the All Stars a million times in the playoffs. I remember even Lachine watching these guys play in the playoffs, and I can't say I'm surprised if the Flag got the win. I mean, that's one of those 50-50 games, but yeah, it is surprising that it happened this early as opposed to, in the semifinals, let's say, or the finals, for example. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
I will say for the All Stars, besides that blowing coverage, just a ton of drops and drops from like Hall of Famers and All Star guys like Pat Jerome, Matt Kerouac had I believe a drop or two. A little bit of miscommunication like Theo Ojea. Also, this little miscommunication on routes. Like guys were kind of getting tangled together, or or Kevin was throwing the ball where he thought the receiver would be, and they weren't there yet. And that's a rarity, right? Out of this Kevin led offense. So they seemed a little off kilter yesterday, and obviously Flagmont took advantage of that.
yeah. Wait, Brent, just give me a second. I have to use the bathroom.
No worries, no worries. All right, so again, a 40-34 victory for Flagma Sack over the All Stars. So the top offense and the All Stars are done. Number two offense in Flagma Sack is still alive. And that game took place last night at Saint Laurent. Of course, the top two seeds in this division being number one, the Braves, and number two, Royal Luminaire, they have the bye. The second matchup, so taking place tonight, actually. So Quasi is actually, as soon as we're done this, he's going to head over to Saint Laurent, myself as well. I think score keep this game. It'll be the Party Crashers taking on Run It Twice. So the Party Crashers met them twice in the regular season. They won both games. Both were kind of blowouts too, right? Party Crashers winning 25-6 in week one. So Jeff Rosenblatt, obviously the main man now, the owner of FPF, he was the quarterback in that game. He threw three INTs in that one. It was a 12-6 lead for the Party Crashers in that game, again going on to win 25-6. In the second meeting, Jeff was not the QB, so it was Ben McMahon. Uh, and the Party Crashers ended up again another blow of victory by a score of 44-18. That was back in week four, right? So obviously tonight, Party Crashers looking for the three-game sweep over Run It Twice. As they lock horns again tonight, I believe that matchup is taking place. Yeah, in Saint Laurent. You see right here, so it's a 9 p.m. matchup between the Party Crashers and Run It Twice. So crazy, I was just catching everybody up on what happened in the regular season between your team, Run It Twice, and
Mhm.
the Party Crashers. So obviously, you guys are looking to prevent the sweeping and get your first W over in the regular first W period, I should say, against the Party Crashers. How do you guys get that W here tonight?
So, one thing I do have to say. So the first time we played Party Crashers, I don't think we were a full team, and the second time Ben was that quarterback.
Yeah.
So, um, one thing I have to say, our roster for Run It Twice hasn't been consistent.
Okay.
We've had Jeff miss a few games where Ben kind of got into the quarterback position and he didn't play as well, and there's just kind of some
Right.
mess ups here and there. And then the same thing for Jeff on communication with certain routes between me, Khalil, Jerome. Like if you don't play with a certain receiver for those like a good 6 7 games, it's hard to have that communication on. Oh, okay, you're doing stop go stop and just like certain routes. So that's one thing that's gonna hurt us. But I do have to say is that tonight we're kind of everyone's on the same page right now. We kind of have a starting offense,
Yeah.
starting defense, and not like before. We kind of had okay, yo, you come in or you come off, and it's kind of like you never want to have a hesitation where you have seven guys on defense and everyone's kind of looking at each other to say who's in, who's out, and the same thing on offense where guys are coming in and there's no structure, you know. So coming
Yeah.
into this game, we have our starting six defense, we have our starting six offense, we have a game plan, we know what we need to do to kind of try to get this W, and it's gonna be a bit different between our week one matchup and I think our week seven matchup when we play the Party Crashers. So
Okay.
that's one thing that's gonna help us to try to get this W.
Okay. I want to ask you, obviously, defensively, right? You guys have the worst ranked defense in terms of teams that made the playoffs, or teams that are left, I should say, in the playoffs. How do you guys in that second meeting? So obviously, Fred Dupuis is the main quarterback for the Party Crashers, but in that second meeting, Jean's Lee Alexi threw a touchdown pass. His brother Jordan threw a touchdown pass. How do you guys defensively tighten things up and slow down the Party Crashers offense?
Yeah. So just consistency to know who's on defense, right? So as I was saying before, it came to a point where we played. I believe we played in Loyola, where I think me and Khalil both showed up late that game. So that didn't help, and it was also just like guys didn't know. Like example, they hit us with a one route. They hit us with a go post, like a post no go post and wheel, and we were kind of in
Okay.
a three. I think we were in a three deep coverage, and the corner on the far right. took the post while we had a guy in the middle coming in from the two position or the three or the four position. So it's like it's just small things like that where you don't have to take the post because you have someone already guarding the middle, like
Mhm.
the post is
Yeah.
already taken care of. So like they scored a couple touchdowns like that. They hit a couple plays in the middle of the field. So just better communication between us, which unfortunately we're not going to have a lot of, but more to the fact where if everyone just understands the calls and knows where they're going, we should be fine.
Okay.
Like that's how we're gonna be able to slow him down. Because again, Fred Dupree's type of guy where he does send three verts or he sends three guys going deep all the time. So if we could counter him having three guys deep as well, he likes to throw up those jump balls. If we could win those battles, get those interceptions. It's a good way. It's gonna a good way to we're gonna be able to slow him down.
Okay. Okay. Well, but listen, best of luck to Party Crashers. Best of luck to you guys tonight. Got a big game still around. I'll be there. I'm happy I'll be in attendance to check that one out.
Mm.
All right. Anything else for Div 1 or you want to hop to Women's 2?
No, it's I'm good.
All right, cool.
Let's go to women's too.
Yep. Yeah, so no games this past week. Actually, no, I'm wrong, actually. So there was a bunch of games on Monday,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we had the Crocs, the number one seeded Crocs. They lose 6-30.
Yeah. Holy moly.
So
All right.
they go 10-0,
Yep.
crazy season, and then they lose 30-6. So unfortunately for them, I kind of checked to see if their whole roster was there, and everyone was there. Just I guess UCAM had a better game plan, and they just played so much better.
Yeah.
Um, then again, we had Maki Joel, crazy athlete. She still had a crazy game, 6 for 6, 105 yards, one TD. But it seems like it wasn't enough to stop UCAM. And you had Athena Ryan that went
Yeah.
15 for
Yeah.
23, 211 yards, five TDs, no interceptions, right? And then you had two of her top receivers, Catherine Bergon, that went 3 for 4, so three catches, 98 yards. So pretty much like she's averaging 33 yards a catch. And then you had Anik Benella that went 9 for 9 for 98 yards. So four TDs. So she had a crazy game um, against the Crocs and got them the W.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 98 yards, 4 TDs. I know Benalil, I think. Yeah, great game for her. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, it sucks for Mary Joelle Vandell again. 105 yards and 1 TD. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, but a big W. So that's and so you started off obviously with the cross right, getting knocked off. That's the number one seed. The number two seed also falling as well, right? The
Yeah,
Saint Laurent Pats. They got beat 27-18 by the ex Con. So
X-Cons.
a
But I
university
remember I
team
was
against
saying, I'm like
university.
X-Cons. They peaked when
It's
they
a good
had to
team.
peak,
It's
right?
a good
We
team.
said it was
Yep.
unfortunately that they didn't play versus the Aces in the first round matchup,
Yeah.
but other
Yeah.
than that,
Yeah.
they've been they've been on fire when they have their full
Yep.
roster and they're kind of all ready to go. They're a scary team to play against, and especially at how low seeding they were, right? Because they finished 6-4. I believe they got
Yeah.
I want to say they finished like the seventh seed.
They hold on, I gotta tell you right now. They finished ex Cons with seventh seed. Yeah, you're right. 6-4 with
Seventh
the
seed,
seventh
yeah.
seed. Yep.
So again, they're a scary 17. It just shows to prove they knocked out the Patriots. I believe they would have knocked out the Aces as well, but now I
Yeah.
think their next matchup is against Chaos. So
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
yeah, that's going to be a very
That's
interesting
going
game.
to be
Last time
good.
they played, Chaos gave them a beatdown like 50-0, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know how
I don't think
tensions are
it'll
going
be
to be
that.
there.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you guys beat us by 50. I mean, like as we said,
Yeah.
payback's a bitch to a
Yeah.
point. But I know ex cons are going into this game with uh, with some vengeance, you know. And then we have a really good matchup. We have Valhalla versus UCAM as well, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
one thing I do have to say, which is pretty interesting. So Valhalla beat Hibu2, and the next cons beat Patriots, and then Chaos beat Wolfpack. So other than UCAM beating, other than UCAM and XCons getting the two upsets there, I think we both kind of knew Chaos was going to be Wolfpack. I feel like they've been playing versus each other quite often
For yeah,
in
exactly,
division.
exactly.
I believe Chaos has been they've won
They
most of
have
the
the
matches.
number. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
Wolfpack's number
exactly.
for
And
sure.
then as again I said, Valhalla was one of those teams where like we weren't really talking about them, but the amount of athletic girls they have on this team is pretty serious to kind of to realize, and we're actually going to see it. Their semifinals. I'm not sure exactly what it is going to be, but that matchup between UCAM and Valhalla is going to also be. It's also going to be a super good one.
I feel that we talked about Valhalla a lot in the beginning of the season because again, this team, this ladies team, they started. I believe it was 6-0. Yeah, look, yeah, they started 6-0. But I remember we
Yeah,
talked about them because they
but
started struggling in the second half.
yeah, but we didn't really talk like compared to the Crocs where we're kind of
Yeah,
like and stuff like that, and like Chaos as well, because Chaos had a horrible start and then a good finish, right? So I don't feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
I just don't think we kind of I don't think we talked about them as much as we maybe should have or could have, but it just goes to show what this is why playoffs are for, right? So
one hundred
again,
percent, 100%.
really two good matchups we're gonna get between these two teams, and I'm very curious to see how it's gonna go down.
Well, listen, I mean, they're Valhalla's giving us some additional reasons to talk about them now, right? So I mean, again, they're taking on big matchup, obviously, with the Citadines. I'm trying to see in the regular season here, they didn't play each other at all, which is odd. Okay, I mean, hey, listen, congrats to Valhalla getting that W over Hebrew 2. Again, if they can knock off the Citadines and punch their ticket to the finals, we're definitely going to be talking about them then. But again, congrats to those ladies with Valhalla getting a huge 40-25 victory over Hebrew 2. Much props to them.
Hmm.
All right. Do you want to go to women's one or
Yeah.
cool? And, yeah, actually, you know what? Let me ask you. Sorry, who are you picking in that Valhalla Citadines game?
Um, I I'm gonna go Cité just because they just because how they beat um Crocs 30-6, and
Right.
I think it has to do a lot of the coaching.
Yeah.
Because of that, I feel like Pat Jerome
Mhm.
and
Yep.
Kevin Dubé, I think, are the two
Yep.
coaches over there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they came into this game and they kind of knew what they had to do, and it just showed. Um, it just showed what they knew what they were doing. The fact that they won by 24 points versus the number one seeded team.
All right. And what are you saying for the Chaos and Escons showdown?
I think that's gonna be very interesting. Something also to kind of know. Yeah, I guess I could say Rochelle actually discolorated her pinky.
Oh,
Yeah, so
hey.
yeah,
Yeah, dislocating
so
anything is never fun, but yeah, especially your pinky. But
she
hey,
did.
like we said before, though, if you're gonna dislocate or hurt a
Yeah,
finger, that is the finger
make
to hurt.
sure it's the pinky. But again, she's also someone that's super stubborn as well, right? So she's always going to be she always wants to be on the field.
Right.
So the fact that if Chaos is kind of going into that game without her, it's gonna affect them a lot. I do think Chaos is a pretty deep roster as well, so
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
they'll be able to kind of overcome it because I don't think she's gonna be able to play in the next couple few weeks. I'm not exactly sure when that semi-final game is going to be for them, but I don't
Yeah.
think she's going to be ready until then to play. So that's also something that to kind of look at. But I also think it's going to be on Allison. I think it's going to be based on Allison. How many non-mistakes Allison's going to do? Again, because Allison's kind of type of quarterback, she has a crazy arm. She has
Hmm.
crazy arm strength. She has good accuracy when she wants to have good accuracy, and she has a shit ton of good athletes around her. But sometimes it comes to a point where she kind of doesn't read a defense properly, and she throws really bad interceptions. So if she
Yeah.
could kind of get into this game and not throw as many interceptions, um, they should be fine. Just going back to it, Chaos versus Wolfpack. I think she had two interceptions, so she had three interceptions. That's way the she had three interceptions and they still won 23 to
Yeah. That's
13.
too
So
many.
it just goes to show that their defense kind of held it down for them. I believe they also got a sack as well, where that gave them a safety because they got only 2 points in the second half. So if
Right. Yeah.
Allison can
Yeah.
kind of start off hot and not throw interceptions or minimum one interception, I think they'll be fine. But once she's throwing 2 to 3 interceptions, that's not going to help. And also the fact that you're probably going to be missing one of your top defenders as well. So the defense is going to have to kind of as they said, next man up, next female up, whatever the saying, where someone's going to have to step in and kind of take the spot. Rochelle has kind of been doing with the team, and I believe she also calls the defense as well. But again, this team is stacked, right? They also added the girl
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Naomi
yeah.
from
Oman, yeah, she's good.
Montreal.
She's good.
He's also
She's good.
someone that they added to as well, right? So they do have a it's a good thing they do have a deep roster. One, two, three, six, seven, eight. So they have a yeah. So they have a deep roster. So again, a lot of their girls could actually play defense. They both ways. So I don't
Oh,
think it's gonna
100%. Yeah,
affect
yeah,
them too much, but it is gonna be a tough loss for them to have one of their best players not playing. But
yeah.
again, I'm saying it's gonna be on. I think it's gonna be on Allison. If Allison's able to not throw as many interceptions and kind of score fast on like a if they could start off strong and fast, I think they should be able to get the W.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, like you said, I think they're gonna rally around Rochelle, right? I mean, listen, they want to give her a chance to play for a championship. I mean, unfortunately, right, the date's not on the website. That's why we're not sure when this matchup will happen between the S-Cons and Chaos.
Yeah,
But yeah, it'll be like on like Gigi and Emma and Marilyn, obviously, Lamise and all them to step up, right, and make a play. Shout out to Zoe
yeah,
Wong who had 2 sacks in that game against the Wolfpack, and Gigi as well. Gigi had an INT, she had a sack, a pass deflection as a defender, so you can't sleep on her. So and plus a touchdown as a receiver. So yeah, like you said, they're a deep team. They have a lot of chemistry. A lot of these ladies played together at Vanier. They've been together for a long time. So I think they'll find a way to get past the S cons. Although I will say I'm super excited about this matchup. A lot of players who have played at a high level,
yeah,
both sides. And again, like I said, there's a couple of hockey players on the team for S cons as well. So obviously the athleticism will be shining through in that matchup, and it should be a good one whenever it happens.
yeah. Again, also something else to look at Chaos, former name as Red Nation. They actually won a
Yep.
championship without Rochelle on the team, where she did her tore her
Yeah,
ACL.
she had an
So
injury. Yeah,
it
yeah.
just goes to show that they've been
Without
in
her
a kind of
before.
situation they
Yeah,
didn't have her before, right? So
yeah, yeah,
again, it's kind of like the same situation where they kind of gonna have to pull through together and try to get this W.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah. We'll see what happens, right? Best of luck to both teams. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's move over to women's one. So 2 games last Thursday, and the day after our podcast. So Cayenne beat the Red Wings 43-15. So that was kind of expected. Citadin for close one. Citadin winning 21-19 over Hebrew. So that was definitely a down to the wire matchup between those two teams right there.
Yeah, closer than I expected.
Yeah, yeah.
Emily Adam. She plays on what team?
Looking at it right here.
Emily Adam. So Hibu did score. I'm looking at the play-by-play clip.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did
Adams.
score at the end of the game. So I
Yeah,
mean, uh, going down to the last 2 minutes of the game, it seems like it was. It seems like it was an 8 point game where uh, they end up scoring, and I guess they missed their convert to tie. But for
yeah. They
some
did.
reason,
They
it's an
missed it.
extra point. Wait, they go for two? Yeah, so they
Yeah,
go
they
for
went for
two.
two.
So they
Yeah,
score. They score with maybe like a minute left in the game.
yeah,
They go for two, and it's unsuccessful, and then kind of you can kind of just closes it out on a couple throws, runs actually, a couple runs, and they kind of end it that way.
yeah,
So again, very close. It came to a point where Hebrew was one. They're 2 points away from there. One well, a convert 2 point convert away to kind of tie it up and go into overtime. So good shout out to them, right? Because I thought it was going to be more of a blowout.
yeah.
This
That's it.
team went
Exactly.
two and
Exactly.
2-8 during the season, but it just kind of shows. Though I feel like a lot of university teams and stuff like that, the more you play together, the better you get. Like you're not going to get worse; you're only going to get better. So it just goes to show that they played there, and also they're a team that they've been playing. It seems like they've been playing with each other a while
Mhm.
in their school division. But just going into this, like you get to kind of fill into the league. You play a couple games because going into the season they played CD Day and they lost 20-6 and then they lost Did they only play them once? And then they lost 43-7, right? So they lost twice, one by 14, one by 37, and they come back into this playoff game. They only lose by two. So a lot of adjustments had to be made, and a lot of players stepped up. Again, it sucks. It's a shitty feeling when you're losing, but the fact that you guys only lose by two and it came down to a point where you guys could have tied it and maybe went to overtime, it's like a bit
Yeah.
like my hats off to them.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. 100%. 100%.
And
Okay.
then we have also going into the McGill game versus Cayenne versus Red Wings. Also, shout out to Red Wings as well, right? They scored 15 points that game, which you would think it's
Yeah.
not a lot of points, but they've had a hard season where they haven't scored. Some games they haven't scored. They scored
Scored
zero
it all.
points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
are close to 0 points. I want to say. I don't want to throw them under the bus, but yeah. So yeah, they scored 0-1. They scored 0-2. They scored 0 3 times in the season. Last time they played
Yeah.
Cayenne, they lost 35-0. So even though they allowed the more points this time, they still scored. They were still able to put up 15 points, so that's pretty good for a team like that, especially if their first year coming into this league, playing versus the competitive girls that we have, teams that we have in this league. Like it's a starting point.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like we said, right? You got to kind of walk before you run and all that stuff. So I mean, that's what they're doing. It's a learning experience now. They'll be better down the road. Looking at that game, right? Cayenne 43 points. Shout out to Alexandre Fournier, 6 catches, 133 yards, 3 tutties. That's pretty impressive. Mathilde Renault, 2 touchdowns. Rosalie Landry, a touchdown as well. So obviously they came up firing offensively. So now, obviously, going forward right now, right, looking at the next set of matchups, right, it's going to be taking place this Monday in Chateauguay. Was it sorry? Well, yeah, it's Sub Zero, Citadine, and then Les Bleus against Cayenne.
Yeah.
So
So that's gonna be that's
yeah,
gonna be that's gonna be a nice semifinal matchups between these
definitely,
teams. I'm curious, like Les Bleus versus Cayenne. That's gonna be a very good matchup. You have the formal quarterback that used to be at UCAM, that's now playing with the. I guess it's what would you call a team? I guess they're official team. Like it's not a school team. It's a
yeah,
club. Their club team. Yeah.
yeah. There you
So
go.
you have
Yeah,
the quarterback that's playing for the club team that used to play for UCAM, and you have a lot of the girls that kind of know each other as well too, right?
right,
Because a lot
right.
of them got a bit older. They graduated from university, so now they're playing on the club team Cayenne. So it's gonna be very interesting. These teams they know each other pretty well, and they do play versus each other a lot of tournaments in the states, a lot of per tournaments for Canada nationals and stuff like
Yep,
that.
yep,
So that's going to be a good matchup. And then you have Sub Zero versus UCAM as well. Also, also kind of a similar matchup, a bit differently as well, because a Sub Zero is a club team
yeah.
and UCAM is a university team. But again, it's familiar faces between this whole group of four teams that they are used to seeing each other in a lot of tournaments. So we're gonna have a very interesting semifinals moving forward next Monday.
Definitely, definitely. And as the saying goes, right, familiarity breeds contempt. So obviously, no love lost between at least certain parts of these teams. Looking at the regular season matchups quickly, Sub Zero blew out Citadin twice, winning week 8, 34 nothing, and in week 11, so it was a couple weeks ago, 44-12. The Blues, labelers, I should say, looking for the 3 game sweep. They knocked off Cayenne twice in the regular season, winning the first one, week 1, 25-24, so close game, and the other one in week 14, so about 20 days ago, give or take, the Blues knocked off Cayenne 30-20. So the question I have for you on this one is, do you see both Les Bleus and Sub Zero getting a sweep? And do you see both games being blowouts? Do you see maybe one being close, or how do you think the outcome is going to be?
I think Sub Zero um, is gonna blow up. I okay. I think Sub Zero is gonna not. I don't want to say blow up, but I think they're gonna win by double digits versus UCAM. But
Okay,
I think Les Bleus versus Cayenne. I think that's gonna be a closer game. Uh, I think that's gonna be a closer game between these two teams
okay,
compared to the Sub Zero game that we're gonna get. I think
okay.
it's gonna kind of go back and forth. and then I feel like Cayenne's gonna kind of separate themselves during the long run. Like during the second half, I feel
Okay.
like they're
Okay.
gonna they're gonna go up a couple touchdowns and they're gonna win by, I would say like 10. But I think Sub Zero's gonna win by like at
Oh,
least
okay.
like 17, 18.
Okay, so you're calling Cayenne in with the W then.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cayenne W,
Okay.
Sub Zero W, and they're gonna match. They're gonna play against each other in the finals.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I mean, we'll see what happens. Okay, you want to hop over to the co-ed 3?
Yeah,
Okay. A couple of games since we last spoke. So this past Monday in Chateauguay, you had Balls and TDs knocking off the Garriers and Pamplemousse 46-18. Anything beat the pick artists 34-13. So two blowouts there.
yeah,
Tuesday, I score kept these games last night actually. Yeah. So Thunder Villains beat Dream Killers 30-13. I worked the B and G's game. B and G's actually had a blow up victory over Kiss My A's, but let me see. They're saying Kiss My A's with a 30-0 victory, so obviously means a roster
yeah.
violation.
I think they're saying someone. I think it's roster violation on games played. I believe.
I
I
think
think
you're right. It has
I
to be
think
what it
that's the
is.
issue.
Yeah,
I think they're
yeah.
saying someone played and they didn't.
They weren't
And
qualified
they,
for the playoffs. Yeah.
yeah, I
Oh,
believe
that's
that's what
tough.
they're saying.
Because I can tell you right now, I did that game last night, and I can get my tablet. I can tell you what the final score should have been. It was a blowout.
Yeah, it was 37-18, I believe,
Yeah, yeah,
to a single
exactly. There you
goal.
go. Exactly, exactly. But that's a shame for B and G's because I'll be honest, man. They played a really good game, man. I mean, they used their athleticism and their speed to just harass Alexi Dubois quarterback and then to force a lot of interceptions. Alexi threw some terrible balls. I'll be honest with you, but B and G's had no problem yanking those out the air. And then on offense, Athena Ryan was cooking, man. She was just tossing the ball deep. And a lot of the players just jumping up and making some big grabs and turning those into first downs and touchdowns. So yeah, it's a shame
Hmm.
for B and G's.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I had them going pretty far. I thought they were probably going to go to the finals, to be honest with you. The
Yeah,
amount of athletes they have. Compare going back to the other games that did happen past week, we didn't really see anything crazy, right? Balls TD
yeah,
with 46-18, anything as the number one seed, 34-13, and then Thunder Villains 30-13 versus Dream
yeah,
Killers. So I mean, no really big upsets. Only upset we do have is Kiss My A's because of the forfeit.
yeah.
So kind of, I'm not really surprised about any of these teams. I kind of figured this was actually gonna this was the results that were gonna actually happen. The only thing that I'm kind of shocked about is the forfeit that we did see. So
Yeah, yeah.
again,
Unfortunate.
going into the semifinals now, Balls and TDs are very fortunate to be playing Kiss My A's, right? Um,
Hmm.
because for them that's a good matchup. That's a very good matchup for them, uh, all around all around the board compared to playing a team like I'm not sure if they would have played BAGs. I'm not sure if they would have played against them. But again, that's good for them. They must feel pretty good the fact
Oh,
that they're
for
going to
sure,
play Ismail
for
Hayes
sure.
instead of playing a team that's way better than them.
Definitely. I mean, let's look at the regular season balls and TDs with a 39-28 victory in week 7 over Kiss My Ace. So obviously they have that as their advantage. Looking at the other matchup, anything against Thunder Villain. So close one, week 3, anything with a 15-14 win over the Thunder Villains. Again, I had a chance to work the game last night with Thunder Villains and Dream Killers. Main man there, Terry Babalas, he was that quarterback. And shout out to Terry because I know he lets me know he watches the podcast. Um, he was tossing up some ball a little late on some throws, but when he wasn't late, he was connecting. There's two guys I had never seen him before. There's Tristan Bigonese, 5 catches, 59 yards, 1 TD. He was just catching balls up the air and just running them for touchdowns. He was mossing a bunch of people. He was
Hmm.
impressive. There was another player too, Francisco Calabrese. He had a touchdown as a receiver, but he had two INTs on defense, and those guys were just like swarming all over the place, defensively and offensively. Kayla Goldshea, one of the leaders of the team. I, I've seen Kayla play a bunch. She loves doing that wheel route. I was surprised I didn't see it too much last night. But so she ended up instead of running a lot of deep routes, She ran a lot of outs and a lot of hooks over the middle, and she was finding the soft spot in the and the Dream Killers defense in the zone, and she was just killing it over the middle. They had no answer for her, so we'll have to see what Thunder Buddies does. Can they get revenge and knock off anything next week?
Yeah, be interesting.
All right, we're gonna co-ed three, co-ed two, I should say. My bad.
Yeah.
All right, co-ed two. All right, so none of the matches have been announced for next week, and all the games happened April 13th, so we covered those. So let's
Yeah.
hop over quickly to co-ed one. I like that one, kind of fast. Um, I mean, hope we'll have some games to talk about next week. Okay, so
Yeah, Cold One. We kind of talk. I think we it's
well,
same
there was nothing.
situation.
No, actually,
We
no. Co-ed one, there was nothing. There was not. It's the playoffs start actually this weekend
yeah,
for
but
co-ed one.
we talk about it last weekend or no?
That's a good question. I'm going to assume we didn't. Okay, quickly, we see the matchups on the screen. IG team, Hoosh Mazoos. I actually think we did. Plenty of fish against Bad a Nice Try. The Merge, Kiss My End Zone, and Dominoes against Pass Whooping. Quickly, what's your opinion? Obviously, you play for Dominoes, so
Yeah.
what are you
So
expecting?
going down about down to top, top to bottom. I the IG versus Hushmer Jones. I think that's a good matchup for the IG team.
Yeah.
Hushmer Jones they've been struggling. They've been struggling here and there to a point where they score 40 and then they only score 12, or they score
Hmm.
35 and they only score 15. You know, they've been kind of struggling. They kind of just got into playoffs, beating Fit Squad the last game of the season, securing their eighth spot.
Yeah.
And then they're playing the top team IG team where they've kind of been consistent the whole way. They did lose a veteran player, Constance, to I think what did she
No,
do?
she's the one that popped her calves.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Achilles. Yeah,
Yeah.
Achilles. Yeah,
Oh, ends up
she
being her Achilles, really?
yeah, I think it was
Oh
Achilles. Yeah.
man. Okay.
So
Okay.
they
Jeez.
did lose a veteran's presence in that. It does affect their offense and defense. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
IGF,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they have enough firepower to kind of get through the first round, especially versus the eight seeded Hushmer Zones going to there. Um, Plenty of fish versus Banana Nice Try. That's gonna be a very good matchup. Mode the Cast has been having a crazy season this year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Numbers insane. And I think last time they did play, she tore up Banana Nice Try's defense. So we have a little rematch that we're gonna get in here. Hopefully, Banana Nice Try is gonna come with a little vengeance as well. Kind of eliminate her of her deep ball and try to make sure she goes short instead of getting blown over the top as before. The merge versus Kiss My End Zone is going to be very interesting because the Kiss My End Zone hasn't been having consistent roster. So if you click on Kiss My Zone's roster right now, they finished the season 5-5. But if you
Hmm.
go down to their roster, they've had 18,
Yeah.
21 players play on this team. And
Offense,
eligible, they have
defense,
one, two, three,
special
six,
teams.
seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 12 guys eligible to play, or
Yeah.
players to play.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you have 21 players on your roster kind of just goes to show that your roster wasn't consistent. So that
Yeah.
doesn't usually
That's it.
help as much.
That's it.
And then you have a merge where they have had every person play pretty much every single game that I've been there. I think the only person that I've been consistent was Serge Pilon Serge Pilon. Yeah, that he's missed a couple few games here. He finished with five during the season, so he's the only player that kind of um, missed half of their games. But other than that, the roster's been pretty consistent. So that's gonna be a very good matchup. I
Yeah.
think going down the line, depending who Kiss My End Zone actually comes out with, I think that's gonna be the biggest matchup regarding who's gonna win or not. And then you have Dominoes
Pass whooping.
Pass
Pass
Whipping,
whooping.
where I think uh, and again, I'm biased, right? But I think we have too much firepower for pass whipping.
Okay.
Um, I just don't. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Kevin Wyeth and our offense and scoring wise. I think they're going to have difficulty in scoring on us on defense.
Okay.
And again, I think we beat them week 3, and I believe I missed the game, and
Yeah,
someone else missed the game as well. So they're a good team. I just don't think the fact that they have to play us first round, you're playing a lot of veteran players such as me, Gigi, AJ, Kevin Wyatt.
yeah,
Uh, it's going to be a lot, and also the pressure of Jamal Noel on Chris Rivera the whole game, him rushing. Uh, Chris
yeah,
Rivera likes to sometimes likes
yeah,
to do that hit move, whatever. I don't think it's going to work as
yeah,
much.
yeah.
He's not going to have
No,
he's not going to have
no.
as much mobile time, and then you have two ball hawks where me AJ we're kind of forcing you to go a certain way where we want you to go with the ball. So I think he's going to have a very difficult time um, scoring on offense.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Looks like I will say quickly. So IG team got the W in the regular season 44-32. Plenty of Fish got the W in the regular season 54-29. The Merge got the W in the regular season 54-33. And as you said, you guys, Domino's got the regular season win over Pass Open 46-34 in the regular season. So obviously, all of you guys have played each other at least once this year. So we'll have to see what happens. Um Okay, so let's hop over to 5-on-5 recreational.
Yeah. So
One game. Let's
That
see
was
what happened.
April 21st. So this game just happened on Saturday and Monday. No,
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
April
Monday.
12th. So April 12th we did, and then we
Yeah,
had Trap Stars versus Zero, which was a pretty close game.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Than you would expect. Dude, I would have thought Trap Stars was going to take care of business, win by at least 20, but they only win by
yeah,
one. And going down to game play by play, who scored last? Seems like a lot of defense because the last touchdown was Tyler Cooper. So they get the 1 point. So at 1 point, Zara was up by 6, and then Trap Stars drove down the field. They ended up scoring, getting the extra point, and then after that, there was no scoring. Uh, what in like the next 13 to 14 plays, it was just pretty much defense. Trap Stars got the stop that they needed, got back the ball, ended
hmm
up just ended up wasting most of the clock. Gave the ball back
yeah.
to Zara with 2 plays left. Incomplete pass for complete pass for 5 yards and a complete pass for 9 yards. So
All right,
again,
cool.
um, closer than I think a lot of us expected. I thought
Yeah,
Trapstars was going to blow this one out, but instead they win
what
by one
happened?
point. But again, a win's a win
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and they advance to the next round.
All right. Okay, so looking quickly, this coming up tonight, actually. One in Laval, Mercenaries, First Down Sniffers, or tonight in Laval, and then Saint Laurent, Green Monster against Trap Stars. Mercenaries knocked off First Down Sniffers 26-6 in the regular season, and Trap Stars beat Green Monster 26-18. So obviously, two big matchups. The winner of those two games will punch their ticket to the finals. Let's hop over to 5-on-5 intermediate. So yeah, so last Wednesday, yeah, we saw CTE knock off Quebec U16A, pardon me, 42-16. Blue Dry 7.1 for 34-25 victory over Quebec U16B. So both Quebec teams are gone, unfortunately. X-Men just smoked the Gamblers Anonymous 46 nothing. We don't need to go into that one. It's a blowout.
Yeah,
Primo 38, Five Guys 18. So to set up the matches tonight, again, one in Laval, X-Men and Primo should be a good showdown. And Blue Dry 7.1 taking on CTE in my pick. I think that'll be the game of the day, game of the night, I should say, taking place at Saint Laurent later tonight. I think I might be breaking that game, but whatever. Should be two big games
yeah.
quickly. What do you think is gonna happen?
It's definitely going to be the further division. That's going to be the biggest game.
Yeah.
Blue Dry versus CTE. I believe Blue Dry last time they played, Blue Dry did end up winning. Did they win? I think they did beat them. Let me just go back. Blue Dry versus CTE. Blue Dry CTE. Oh no, CTE beat them 31-6, and then they played what? No, did they only play once? Yeah, they played once this whole season. CT won 31-6. Again, I
Right.
do have to say, looking at Blue Jays roster, it seems like a lot of guys that they play in the league. But again, CT is a very veteran team. I believe you have AJ on this team as well. So you have Jalen and AJ, but I think one of them can't play. So I think tonight AJ is gonna. Oh, Jalen's not legible actually. So AJ is legible. He has 5 games. So I believe he's gonna be
Right.
playing
Okay.
tonight. So again, I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be better. It's gonna be a better game than the 31-6 game that we saw the
All right.
previous weeks. But I think
Okay.
CT is gonna be able to take care of business and they're gonna get that win.
Okay. The other matchup, like I said, is Primal and X-Men. Both teams split the regular season meeting. Primal winning the first one, 26-20, and that was back in week 5. And then X-Men getting the victory in week 14. So back on April 9th, so not that long ago, they won by a score of 27-26. So this is the rubber match, obviously, between Primal and X-Men. Who do you have winning this game?
I'm gonna give the Primal. The fact that
Oh,
Primal beat Five Guys 38-18, I think they're kind of on a streak right now. I think they're going into this game
yeah.
with momentum.
Yeah.
X Men did blow out Camels and Armas 46-0, but I didn't think Camels and Armas was good this year. So I think it was
Right.
kind of like a background, kind of like an exhibition game for X Men. It's the
Okay.
fact that Primal actually played a very good Five Guys team, and they ended up winning by 20. I think they're
Right.
going to come into this game a bit more motivated. The fact that they beat a very good Five Guys team by 20, so I'm going to give it to Primal.
Okay. All right. And best of luck to those teams. Obviously, looking to punch their ticket to the next round of the playoffs. And finally, we wrap up with 5-on-5 competitive. The playoffs start tomorrow night, actually. So tomorrow being Thursday, all the games at Saint Laurent. Flag One Sack against Team Quebec U18B. Braves against Team Quebec U18A. Roos against the Jamesons and Vengeance against Party Throwers. I don't think I'd be crazy for saying that I expect Flagwa, Sack, and the Braves to win and win big. This is kind of a learning experience for those the young gentlemen on Team Quebec U18A and Team Quebec U18B.
Yeah, so I'm completely with you. I think Flag One, as we were kind of talking about before, I think Flag One Braves kind of get like it's like a buy. It's not a buy, but it's sort of like a buy playing the Team
Right.
Quebec teams. No offense
Right.
to them, it's just they don't have enough talent to kind of run with these two powerhouse teams.
Yeah.
It's the reason why they both finished 1 seed and 2 seed. Going down to it, you have Ruse versus Jamesons, where I believe Ruse beat Jamesons the last time they played. I think it was like week 3, where Ruse kind of won by I think 2 possessions, and then Vengeance versus Party Crashers, which is also kind of crazy because again Vengeance went 8-7, 8-2 I think this year, or 7-3. They kind of just missed that buy opportunity, so they kind of have to play Party Throwers, which again Party Throwers is a very good team. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me to see Kevin lose an air game here again, like playing versus Party Throwers. Hopefully he doesn't.
Possible.
Hopefully he's able to take care of business. And then you have Ruse versus the Jamesons, where again Ruse is my team. I think we do have upper hand versus the Jamesons just because Jeff is the quarterback and he's kind of getting used to the 5-5 format, so we're kind of using that for our advantage. But those two games are going to be very interesting, and they're going to be. I think they're going to be very two good games. They're going to be two good games compared to the two Quebec
Yeah. Yeah.
U18 games that are going to be played.
I mean, yeah, you guys knocked off the Jamesons 46-28 and back in week 4, the only regular season meeting between you guys, and just looking at it, um, yeah, yeah. So big victory. Obviously, you guys are looking for the sweep. We'll have to see if that indeed is the case.
Yeah, and then
Any?
Vengeance played Party Throwers and they won 40-12.
Yeah,
So there you go. That's two games that were kind of overflated regarding the
yeah.
scores. But I think it's gonna be way for Vengeance versus Party Thrower. I think it's gonna be way closer than that game for sure. And then also for Ruse versus Jameson, I also think it's gonna be closer than the previous matchup.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it. Best of luck to every team from women's co-ed one, from women's co-ed 5-on-5, regular 6-on-6 men's divisions. Good luck to all the teams participating just obviously tonight and throughout the rest of the week and weekend. This has been the latest episode of the Flag Plus Football First and Goal podcast. Thanks to obviously Ali Reza, our producer in our ear, keeping us on track the whole time. Don't forget, like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Go to YouTube, Flag Plus Football. You'll find the podcast. Like and subscribe. And don't forget, spring registration is still open. It closes on April 25th. So right now we're Wednesday, so that's 2 days for us. By the time this comes out, I think it'll be the final day of registration. So don't forget, if you haven't registered as a team or as a player individually, you can go on to the flagplusfootball.com website and make sure you register. Again, the
Yeah,
deadline is April 25th.
Friday.
playoff football on FPF. Yeah, exactly. Friday, playoff time here in FPF, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, NFL draft is tomorrow night. I'm super excited. Um, that's about
Yeah.
it for me.
Yeah, and also I just want to say, guys, make sure you check your rosters. Make sure you
Yep.
guys, everyone, check your roster cap. Make sure you guys don't go over the cap. Again, we talked about it before. There's a couple teams that went over the cap. Make
Yep.
sure all your guys have the 5 games played. Because as scorekeepers, we can't help you out here. We can't say, "Oh, this guy five." You have to check it. You have to check yourself. The worst situation thing that can happen is you go to Saint Laurent, you play at 11 p.m., you win your playoff game, and then you get a email from the league saying you went over the cap or this player only played 3 games. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you guys forfeit. So just make
Exactly.
sure you guys are on you're on your you're on your ship and you kind of know exactly your whole situation on games played, roster cap, so you guys have no issues moving forward going to the playoffs.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. He's Quasi. I'm Brent. We'll see you next time. Have a good one
Please.
and enjoy the draft.